Welcome to Nimmin Live, the #1 place on the internet to learn about YouTube, network with other content creators, and have an awesome time doing it. My name is Nick, and today I'm answering your YouTube questions. So if you have a question about what it is that you are doing on YouTube, there's a form that is down in the description. I actually just posted it in the chat as well. So you early birds that are here hanging out, waiting for the stream to start, get your questions in there right now. There's a really good chance that they're going to get answered on the stream here today. And I do want to let you know, if you are watching this on the replay, this stream is driven by the questions that get answered here on the stream. So because of that, we talk about everything under the sun when it comes to YouTube during this live stream. However, today, in addition to that, there's also been some updates put out by YouTube that I'm going to be covering as well. I'm going to be showing you how to use them. I'm going to be showing you how to activate them. I'm also going to be bringing some other things to your attention about YouTube that you need to be mindful of now, just based on some changes that have been made. So because of that, I encourage you, if you are watching this on the replay, to just go ahead and skip around, because you will find something of value in this stream here that will help you with your YouTube channel or help you as a content creator in general. With all of that out of the way, I hope everybody's feeling awesome. I know I'm feeling great. I'm happy to be back. I missed last stream. I wasn't feeling fantastic. Still having just a little bit of issues in terms of, occasional coughs and things like that. So I'll have to mute the mic from time to time. But I want to give a shout out to Chocolate Man in Thailand. What's up, my dude? Nice to see you. Nice to see you swinging by the stream today. Doug Houston, YT in the house. What's up, Doug? Hope that you're doing awesome. Chantel Hills, nice to see you here. Shark Scrapper, hope that you are doing fantastic. Welcome to the stream today. Homekeeping Channel, hope that you are rocking. Welcome to the stream today. So, as everybody knows, today we are talking about YouTube. However, before we get into that conversation and before I start showing you some of the stuff that YouTube has recently released for us, I do need to, do a little bit of housekeeping here. So I do want to let you know that this stream is brought to you by TubeBuddy, which is the #1 tool for YouTube content creators. TubeBuddy will help you do all kinds of things with your YouTube channel. A lot of people think that TubeBuddy is just a keyword explorer, or that you just use it to add tags to your videos. However, there's 90 different tools that you can use as a content creator inside of TubeBuddy. So what I encourage you to do, if you're a content creator, if you're not using TubeBuddy yet, is there's a link down in the description where you can go check them out, or you can just go to tubebuddy.com. And when you do that, if you are a small channel, just as a heads up, if you're under 1,000 subscribers, you can use it for free. TubeBuddy's a free tool, but they do have paid options as well. So if you do decide to upgrade, they give you a discount just because you're a small content creator, because you're getting started and they want to help you on your journey. So just keep that in mind as well. And if you do upgrade, you will get that discount. In addition to that, this stream is co-brought to you by StreamYard, which is the live streaming platform that I use to live stream this every single Saturday, unless I'm not feeling great like last Saturday, at 9 a.m. Eastern. And the reason that I use it is because they do all the heavy lifting for me. So even though my computer that I use to live stream, if I'm honest, it sucks. However, it doesn't need to be an awesome computer, because StreamYard does all the heavy lifting for me. So I don't have to worry about it. In addition to that, they host everything in the cloud. So in the event that there's a storm outside, which I think there might be one coming, and that storm kind of knocks out the power or something, in that case, StreamYard's going to hold the stream open. I can come back in on my phone, not skip a beat, and we just keep the whole thing rolling. You can do that same exact thing. But in addition to that, StreamYard will also make it, or they do make it easy for you to add graphics to your screen, like you can see on the screen right now. In addition to that, they also make it super easy to bring on guests. So if you are interested in bringing other people onto your live stream to hang out and chat like we do here sometimes from time to time, then in that case, you definitely want to check out StreamYard. Again, link to that is down in the description as well as a bunch of other stuff that will add value to you as a content creator. But you can also just go to StreamYard.com as well to go ahead and get started with that. So, housekeeping out of the way, all of that good stuff out of the way. Hope everybody's doing fantastic. Just as a quick update, so basically I didn't show up last Saturday because I had, I got the big C, the big thing that, is kind of going around right now. So I had to take some time, down to recover. But we're back feeling, 1,000 times better than I was last weekend. So we're on the right path, and I'm super excited today to answer your questions, to, kind of help demystify some of the aspects of YouTube for you. So if you are hanging out in the stream today, I do want to let you know that this entire stream is content creators. Everybody here's a content creator, so you are amongst your people, so to speak. We all have the same thing in terms of hitting the publish button and being like, oh man, I hope this one's good. Hope they respond to this one well. And, sitting there trying to, make good thumbnails and trying to think of how to make your content better and your presentation better and everything it is that you're doing better on YouTube. We all feel that same vibe. So you're amongst your folks here. So with all that stuff out of the way, let's get into some questions. What do you think about getting into some questions? Hey, Tom Nash, what's up, dude? Hope that you're doing fantastic. Eileen Smith, nice to see you in here. Says, Nick, I'm so glad you're feeling better. Hashtag Niminati. Eileen, thank you so much for the kind words. I'm glad that I'm feeling better too. It was a little bit rough. Carib Design, what's up, man? Says, hey, Nick, thank you for yesterday's review of my channel. Changes are in progress. Love seeing that. Glad that you're like taking action, right? Because for everybody here that's like just getting started, or let's say that you are, you know, new to YouTube, or let's say that, you know, you're wanting to, you know, just kind of get things moving a little bit. Like in order to make that happen, you got to take action, you know, on the stuff that you learn from, you know, the things that you read about YouTube, the information that you hear about YouTube from my content, from other people who make content like me, and even the things that you discover. And you're like, hey, you know, what should I be experimenting with? What should I try? Doing all of those things, just taking those actions and trying stuff and trying to implement, you know, all the different things that you hear is the way that, you know, that you can move forward the fastest. So, so make sure you keep that in mind and take action on the things that you're going to be hearing today. And I do want to remind everybody as well, we talk about tons of stuff here. So if you have a notepad on your phone, which pretty much everybody does these days, if you have like a hard copy notepad and you want to write some stuff down, I encourage you to go ahead and just have a notepad standing by, just in the event that somebody asks a question, you're like, oh my gosh, this is the type of channel I have, or let me look at my channel and see if that thing that he just mentioned is on my channel, but I don't want to leave right now, so let me just make a note so I can check it later. He mentioned these particular things and I'm not familiar with those things yet, so let me take a couple notes on them and make sure that I am, you know, squared away in terms of the understanding of that, so that I can, you know, do the best that I can here on YouTube. Because the more information that you have, the better armed you are, so to speak, in terms of the actions that you take to move things forward, and the better you understand everything. Smoking Joe's Pit Barbecue, hope that you're doing awesome. Good morning to you as well. Genealogy with Amy Johnson, hope that you're doing great. Jerry, Pop Andrea, hope that you're doing awesome. Let's get clacking. Nice to see you as well. And we're going to get clacking right now. So the very first question that we have today is from Summit the Dragon. And love the channel name, Summit the Dragon. And really quick, just for those of you that are hanging out right now, I do want to let you know that the first questions that we're answering today, these are going to be coming from the forum. And I'm going to put a link to that right here in the chat, so you can go ahead and drop some questions in there if you want to. And then later on in the stream today, we'll get into the chat and we'll be answering questions out of the chat and all that stuff. But I always, you know, try to serve the early birds through the forum, just because, you know, people are showing up early, right? They're the first ones in here. So make sure that as we get into this, if you are somebody that's been here before and you know what it is that we're getting ready to do, make sure that you smash that like button as well, because, you know, because that's a cool thing to do. In addition to that, Summit the Dragon. Not in addition to that, but besides that, Summit the Dragon has been on YouTube for 1 week, or they upload one time per week or more. They've been on YouTube for less than 6 months. The type of channel is art and digital art. And the goal of the channel says, I'd like to share art and make a few comics. You know what? Before we do this, I'm actually going to get into the YouTube stuff, right? So, Dragon here, I'm going to come back to you right here in just a second. So first, I'm going to answer these super chats just in case, you know, they're like in a hurry or something. And then I'm going to show you guys the new stuff that YouTube has put out for us. So I just kind of got a little bit off track there. So give me 1 second here. Let me answer these. And then we are going to get into that. For those of you that are coming in here like, come on, Nick, just show us the stuff, man. Show us what YouTube's putting out, man. Show us that stuff. So right out of the gate here, really quick, I just want to say thank you to Akusa's Tasty Recipe for the super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. As we keep going down the list here, I saw another one here from the Bearded Tyrant Gaming. Says, hey, Nick, want to do shorts and made a second channel just for them. Should I re-upload the content that was on my main gaming channel and unlisted, or start fresh on the Stores channel? I would just start fresh. I mean, if you want to take them off of your main channel, just keep in mind that, you know, when you do take those off, if YouTube is still showing them, then you'll take that little bit of a hit there. But if you want to have an entirely different channel for shorts, if it was me, what I would do is I would just take them off of the main channel, and then I would just start, you know, going, you know, hard on the shorts on the second channel, and then maybe sprinkle those in just so you don't, you know, waste the content, so to speak. Sprinkle those in on that channel once you get it going a little bit, so that content would be a little bit more fresh over there. That would be the approach that that I would take. Nan's Global Kitchen, hope that you're doing awesome. So let's see here. So next up on our list, and I've got a little list here of super chats as they come in. I just have to refresh this list, and then we will get you taken care of. For those of you, I got 4 of them here. G Ready Prince, thank you for the super chat. Says, hey Nick, thanks for all that you do. I plan on doing a giveaway on my channel soon. What must I look out for? So the very first thing is, when it comes to doing giveaways on your YouTube channel, you want to make sure that you are not doing giveaways for, I mean, yes, you can leverage giveaways to grow your YouTube channel, but keep in mind, if you're trying to bring in a new audience with a giveaway, then what can happen is people will subscribe to your YouTube channel for the thing, but they're not really there for the content. content. So because of that, just make sure, one of the rules that I personally like to go by when it goes to giveaways is I like to give, not give to receive, so to speak. And I do that in terms of like, hey, let's do something in terms of something that's going to, add value just because I'm grateful versus like, hey, I'm going to do this giveaway so that hopefully more people will come into the channel. But outside of that, and of course, do with that information, what you like, because people do use, giveaways as a way to kind of inflate numbers a little bit, even though in some cases, the viewers may or may not end up being active on the channel. But in terms of what to look out for, so when it comes to your giveaway, there's very specific rules that you have to put down in your video description. For example, you have to make it very clear that your giveaway is not endorsed by YouTube and YouTube is not a part of your giveaway. You have to make sure that you put a link down there to the YouTube terms of service, the YouTube community guidelines. You also have to be very clear about the usage of information. And what I mean by that is if you are collecting any information as part of your giveaway, let's say you're trying to drive people into an email list, you got to be sign up in this email as part of the giveaway, then in that case, you also have to disclose how you're using that information as well. But if you go to Google and you go to the YouTube help pages on Google and you type in giveaway rules, then you'll actually see verbatim exactly what it is that you need to put in your video description. In addition to that, when it comes to how you're framing the language around the giveaway on your YouTube channel, it's very important to make sure that you are not framing it in a way to where it sounds like you are incentivizing your viewers to subscribe in order to qualify for the giveaway, because that's not allowed on YouTube anymore. So they changed that rule, I would say 6 months ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, because my time distortion is really weird. But when it comes, oh, hey, thank you. Chantel just posted the content policies and guidelines right there in the chat. So you can find it right there. Thank you so much, Chantel. I appreciate that. But when it comes to how you're framing your giveaway, you have to make sure that you're not saying things like, okay, one of the things you got to make sure you're subscribed to the channel. This is for subscribers, because YouTube looks at that like it's incentivizing them to subscribe, and that they're not subscribing because they like the content, but they're subscribing because you're essentially like bribing them to do so. That's kind of the idea behind it. So just make sure that you're keeping those things in mind so that you can be compliant with their giveaway rules, and so that you make sure that you're not violating anything guidelines wise with YouTube, with the incentivization thing. So here, next up on our list here, David McGill says, is this a brand channel? And do you use this channel for your YouTube consumption as well? I'll use other channels also for the YouTube consumption, because, I have mine to where if I'm like working or something, I have something open, maybe I'm listening to a live chat or something. Like yesterday, I was hanging out in Chocolate in Thailand, and in that particular live stream, I was just listening to it, on my main account, just because I consume, some Thai content there. So because of that, I was hanging out in the live stream and I was interacting there as myself. And it's cool because in that case, it also opened up an opportunity to be able to connect with him as well. So, so it just kind of depends on, what it is that I'm doing. Let's see here. So as we keep on going down this list, let's go ahead and really quick, Stormy Sky Rail Productions.
Welcome to the Niminati.
Welcome to the Niminati. Make sure when you get the chance, go to niminvip.com. It's going to redirect you to our members only Facebook group. Fill out all the information on the way in, because that's how I verify that you're a member. If you can do that before the stream is over today, then I will get you in there as soon as the stream comes to an end today. So, I think that has us covered. Okay. So now let's get into the YouTube stuff. Who here, just say me, wants to see the stuff from YouTube? Some of it you might have heard about. Some of it you may not have heard about yet. But I'm just going to share the information. I'm going to share with you, how to use them and, stuff like that. So you know what's up. Like, you're a content creator, you need to know these things. So, so really quick, the Ultimate Quiz Channel, thanks for the shout out about Creator Mix, saying that you enjoy it. Glad that you are enjoying the music over there, which by the way is free music for content creators. I got a link to it at the very top of this chat right now. You can just click on that to head over to the YouTube channel. But of course you can find us for Creator Mix. You can find us on Spotify, all the other streaming platforms and all that stuff as well. So, okay, let's get into the YouTube stuff. Okay, everybody's like, I need to know, what is it? Okay, so the very first thing is for those of you that are in the YouTube Partner Program. How many people here are in the YouTube Partner Program? If you are, monetized already, you're in the YouTube Partner Program. If that's you, just let me know. Because for those of you that are in the YouTube Partner Program, the very first thing on our list here is under the monetization tab. So YouTube has rolled out in 68 countries around the world, they've rolled out the super thanks. So this has been shared, a little bit on the, like you hear people talk or see people talking about on Twitter, Reddit, things like that. But I want to make sure that you also know about it, just in case you're not hanging out on the internet throughout the week, in case, this is your kind of check-in on the internet. So basically, if you're monetized, what you want to do is you want to go to your monetization settings right over here. And then once you're in your monetization settings, right up here in the top right-hand corner, you're going to see super thanks. So what you want to do is you want to turn that on. And what that's going to do is that's going to give you the option to where if somebody's watching one of your YouTube videos, let me turn this off here just for a second. There we go. If somebody's watching one of your YouTube videos and they see that super thanks option, for the people that are really into your content or they appreciate your content in some way, then that gives them the option. It's like a super chat for your videos. So like while you're sleeping, I'm sure you've heard the thing, like if you don't learn how to make money while you sleep, you're going to work till you die, right? Well, this is one of those things that's going to help you not work till you die. Because while you're sleeping, one of your viewers that appreciate your content can hit that button and give you a super thanks, which works like a super chat. So just make sure that you turn that on. All you have to do is just go to that monetization page like I just showed you here, and just turn on the super thanks option right over here on the far right-hand side. So make sure that you do that just to give people the option. So a couple things that I want you to keep in mind here is when it comes to this, the very first thing is, of course, you can just turn it on, never say anything about it. And then that's just a passive way, so to speak, to just make it available for the people, that are watching your content. However, if you want to be a little bit aggressive with it, in terms of a little reminder, just letting people know, hey, just as a heads up, YouTube has this feature, super thanks, whatever, or making like a little graphic if you're somebody that, knows how to make graphics at all, to where you can just make a little graphic or something that just says, hey, enjoying the content, or if this adds value to you in some way or whatever, with the little thing pointing down to the super thanks feature, or a little graphic that just shows, super thanks, so that the viewers know what to do. Because we're content creators. We know how super chats work. We know how those types of things work, but just like a civilian, right? Like a regular viewer, they might not know how any of this stuff works. So because of that, if you want to increase the amount of super thanks that you're getting, then in that case, you want to, not be as passive about it, and you want to be a little bit more active about it in terms of just spreading that awareness. Don't cram it down people's throats, but if you do just want to spread that awareness in your community, it's going to give you that option to get people to click on that button and then, donate to you to help support you and the content that you create. And by the way, you can do this on my videos too. So anybody here that wants to do that when you watch my content, super appreciate it. Next, so this one applies to everyone. So if you have 3 subscribers on your channel, you still have this. So this right here is the research tab. So with the research tab, what this is the ability to see what people are looking for around your content, around other types of content, the things that your specific viewers are searching for. So right out of the gate, I'm just going to give you just a quick walkthrough on this and show you how it works. So right out of I said right out of the gate like 4 times right there. So I'm just going to stop saying that. I'm going to try to. So right here, they give you the option to put in a search term or topic, and this is searches across YouTube. This is everybody, right? This is everybody that's searching YouTube. So for example, let's see here. If we do, I see a gaming channel right here. It says Adam Gaming. So Adam Gaming. So let's say Adam Gaming makes Fortnite content. Then in that case, I'll put Fortnite in here. And then we're going to see that YouTube shows us the specific things that people are looking for at a high rate. Okay. So right here, it says that, Fortnite by itself, people are looking for that high. Fortnite song, people are looking for that high. Fortnite dance, people are looking for that high. Montages is something that people are looking for a lot when it comes to that. And then if we kind of keep going through here, because they have the pages down here in the bottom right-hand side, then what you're going to see here is, they just keep sharing that information. And the more that you add to it up here, let's say gameplay, the more you add to it up here, the more specific it will also get for you down in this area as well. Now, this is what I want to bring your attention to. You can see how it shows you that the search volume is high here, but then it drops to medium here. So because of that, you just have to balance out if you're going after something that people have that higher interest in and they're looking for more, or if you're going to make something that people have, more of a medium interest in, but people are still looking for it on YouTube. So those types of things, just as a heads up when it comes to doing these sorts of things, the things that people are looking for in that medium space, like especially if you're just getting started, medium and low, those are kind of like low hanging fruits because the competition typically isn't as high because everybody's going for the high stuff. So because of that, since most people go for those high things, when you go for the ones that are in the medium and low, the immediate reward might not be as high, but long term, those can end up bringing you a lot of views because they're not as competitive, which means there's not as many pieces of content for it, which brings me to the next thing. So another thing that I want to show you in here is you're also going to see this option right here where it shows, let me make this kind of full screen here again. Okay, so you're going to see this other option here where they show all searches or they show content gaps only. So if we change this to content gaps only and I click apply, then what we're gonna see here, if I just go into, we're just gonna do Fortnite again for the sake of you gamers in here who don't seem to be represented as much as you would like on YouTube. I got you covered right now. But here, content gaps. So here we got the sock emoji, or emote, I'm sorry, which means this content gap here means that when people are looking for this, they're just not finding as much content as they would like to. Favorite lean swapper, Fortnite V-Bucks car code, disc Fortnite settings, those types of things are just things that, people aren't really fulfilling as much as the other things. So you can use this as an opportunity to make content that might end up getting you in front of more people simply because there's not a lot of competition for it. So a couple things I do want to bring to your attention from a safety perspective here is in terms of the efforts that you're going to put into this is you want to make sure that you do take some of this as kind of like a lead, right? Like, okay, these are some ideas. These are some things that, that I can use. These are some things that, maybe I can make some content about, but you also want to make sure that you're thinking it through, right? Like, for example, like the Fortnite socks emote. In that case, you might find that if you do a little bit more research, you might find out that maybe the socks emote might be called something else. And people are making content about that in scale, and YouTube is prioritizing that content and those sorts of things. So make sure that you still do your diligence and the research after you do get this information. But this is a great place to start when it comes for coming up with video ideas, when it comes to, targeting specific things that you're after. Now, in addition to that, they also have here where you have viewer searches. And within this really quick, another thing I do want to bring to your attention is you can see here where you can also break it down for demographics. So here it says all, but if let's say as an example, I know a lot of you are targeting let's say the US market. Then in that case, I would just click on US and then I would just be looking at the information for the searches that are made in the United States, not the searches that are made globally. So because of that, you also want to keep that in mind when you're using this tool. But in terms of the viewer searches, the cool thing here is you can click on this and you can see here because of the type of content that I make, these are some of the things that you guys are searching for. So what's on my iPhone? This is a content gap, how to upload videos on YouTube, how to edit, YouTube Studio, and the way that you use this, right? Because this is saying, these are things that my viewers are searching for. These are the things that you guys are looking for. So because of that, I can look at this and I can be like, okay, these are problems that you guys are trying to solve. So because of that, it would be advantageous for me to kind of fill some of these content gaps. So I know for a fact there's plenty of content out there on how to edit, but maybe you might want a video like that from me. So because of that, then I can use this as a way to be like, yeah, you know what? Let me make that video because my viewers specifically are looking for this. So this is a way for me to add value to them specifically. So you can use it in that way. And then this is the same exact thing where you see the search volume over here where it has high, medium, and so on in terms of the overall interest for these things. Now, a quick tip for you here just to show you a couple more things before we get out of this section is you can see here how I flagged these, right? How I flagged this one, this one, this one, this one's not flagged. And what happens is you can store these as well. So you don't have to write them down, anything like that. All you have to do is click on this little flag here to save it. And what's gonna happen is if we click on the Save tab right here, then the ones that you saved are gonna end up coming over here into this tab. So then that way you're gonna be able to archive them. So you can just sit there and explore all these different ideas for video ideas and start to get a really good understanding of the things that your viewers are looking for so that, you can make that content to serve them because that's the stuff that they're looking for, right? So you can use it in that way. Now, in addition to that, one of my favorite features here is a lot of times during these live streams, if I show people Google Trends, a lot of people are like, oh, wow, didn't even know that was there, right? So another really awesome thing that I really enjoy about this is over here in this 3-dot menu over here on the far right-hand side. If I click on this, another thing you can do is you can see this option right here to go to Google Trends. It's just a quick jump over to Google Trends. So you can click on that. And then what's going to happen is it's going to open up Google Trends for you, and it's going to show you historically the interest that this has had over time. Now, of course, this is currently set to worldwide. So if you are coming in here based on, any specific demographics you're targeting and things like that, you'd want to adjust that. You'd want to make sure that you are, considering, the actual date range and those sorts of things. But how you use this is once you do come over to this page, is you're going to be able to see like, hey, where are things trending? Are there patterns in terms of like, hey, this is a big spike here, big spike here, big spike here. Do those seem to happen at like certain times during the month and those sorts of things? So that's the idea with that. But in addition to that, if you scroll down this page, it's also going to show you additional things as well. Down here, this one doesn't really have a lot, but depending on what it is that ends up that you end up exploring here, in some cases you get some really good trending breakout ideas for your videos down here. And if you're, within that group of people that are making that content, it's a really good chance, as long as your videos are decent and as long as you can get people to click on them at a decent rate, you're gonna get some views on it just because there's that heightened amount of interest. So, this is a huge opportunity to really understand, your viewers, what it is that they're searching for, what it is that, they're like to explore this in terms of the content gaps of things that just aren't as competitive and all of that. So, so I just wanted to make sure to bring that to your attention. And again, just in case you are just joining us, the other thing that I do want to bring to your attention as well, and I got one more too after these are done, but the other thing I wanted to bring to your attention here was the super thanks. If you are in the YouTube partner program, if you're monetized, if you haven't enabled it yet, all you have to do is go down to your monetization settings. Once you're in there, at the very top of the list here, you're going to see this tab that says supers. You click on that, and then over on the far right hand side, you're going to see super thanks. So you want to make sure that you have that turned on, and that is a passive way to, for your viewers to be able to donate to you and help support you as a content creator so you can keep making awesome content for them. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you is going to be a little bit weird because it's on my phone. So the next thing is, let's see here. So there's been some user interface updates as well. And I'm just going to use Creator Mix here for this one. I'm just going to make sure it's still showing up. But another thing that I just want to bring to your attention, and just keep this in mind when you're doing your calls to action, if you're making video graphics to put in your videos, but basically here for mobile viewers, they've updated the phone interface. So if you look underneath the play bar there, you're going to see your thumbs up, you're going to see your thumbs down, you're going to see this little box over here on this side. If you click on that, that's suggested videos, but you're going to see those additional calls to action down here, as well as the share button in terms of the comments as well. So if you are making graphics and you're showing people like, hey, do this to like, and those types of things, if you go into your demographics and you find that a majority of your viewers are interacting on a mobile device, then in that case, when you're making those graphics for your videos, for those calls to action to remind people to like and all that stuff, you want to make sure you're doing it in a way that is visually represented in a way that's going to make sense to them, so that, if they're watching on a mobile device, you can be like, yeah, just click here, do this whole thing, just to make it easier for people to, to like your videos and share them and all of that good stuff. So that's what's up. That's what's up. Okay. So, with all of that out of the way, we're going to get back into some questions. There were some super chats here as well that didn't get answered yet. So I'm going to make sure that I get those taken care of. And then we're going to jump back into the forum. Danielle, Cutting the Caboose, hope that you're doing awesome. Going to get to yours right here in a second as well. Nice to see you in the chat today. Let's see here. So the next question that we had here in the super chat is from Stevan Next Level Mindset. Says, what's up, Nick? I just crossed over 103 subscribers. Excited about my new URL. Thank you for all your tips and insights, man. Much success. Congratulations to you for getting that first 100 subscribers out of the way. And keep in mind, everybody here, you, Stevan, and everybody else that's here, if you got 100 subscribers, that means you have proof that 100 people dig what it is that you're doing. Now you just have to find the other people that are like those people, right? So you're on your way. So congratulations to you for that. And if you have not gotten that 100 subscriber milestone yet, how many people here actually are under 100 subscribers on your YouTube channel? If that's you, just say me. But basically, if you are under 100 subscribers, once you do cross that milestone of 100 subscribers, it gives you the option to make a custom URL. And what that means is at the very top of your YouTube channel, where people, would type in your YouTube channel name or whatever, up there, instead of having a big long string of, like letters and numbers and all that, you actually get to choose your channel name. So it'd be like youtube.com/your channel name. So that's what you get when you get 100 subscribers. So anybody that crosses that milestone, once you cross it, keep an eye out for that notification and make sure you secure it, because here's the win with getting that name that's attached to your YouTube channel name is it doesn't matter who makes another channel with that name. If somebody types that into YouTube in terms of youtube.com/that name, it's always going to go to you. So because of that, especially if you're a brand channel in terms of you're a company doing this or you're representing your company in some way, or if you're trying to grow your own internet brand, which I know a lot of you are, then in that case, making sure you secure that name is a really important part of that as well. Cryptoholics said, thank you for the super chat. Says, thank you so much. All of your info has helped me since I became a YouTube member. Congratulations to you. Thank you so much for the kind words. Thank you for the super chat. I'm glad that you are taking the information, doing something with it, and you are, getting moving. And, another thing, along that I do want to, mention as well. So I had somebody hit me up the other day. They've got like 1.2 million subscribers on their YouTube channel. And we were just talking on Twitter through DMs, and we ended up popping on a call. And, for all of you that are just getting started right now and thinking like, hey, there's this big mountain of stuff that I don't, that I need to like learn and all that stuff. It is true. However, the person I was talking to, they managed just through making good content, learning how to get people to click on it and all that. They've managed to get over 1 million subscribers on their YouTube channel just for making good content. So because of that, make sure that you're always focused. There's always the little, things that you can do to accelerate, but make sure that you're always just focused on, making good content. And if you don't know all the stuff yet, don't worry about it. Like learn it as you go along and try to learn as fast as you can, because the more of that information you have, the better, you can approach everything. However, if you, just double down on making the great content, at the end of the day, that's the thing that makes everything move. So, even if you're just getting started, I just want to use that as an example to encourage you. Like, even large channels in some cases, they just have videos that blow up and they just get really good at making the content and interacting with their community and all that and bringing people back. And, because of that, they hit those numbers. But in a lot of cases, through people that I've worked with, in a lot of cases, even those really large channels, they, a lot of them, they don't know a lot of the stuff either. So, don't give yourself a hard time, if you're like, man, there's so much of this stuff to learn. Okay, so Danielle Cutting the Caboose says, avoid wasting time brushing your teeth in the morning by simply putting toothpaste on your breakfast. Tell you what, if that's not a coffee table book entry, I don't know what is. And that's this super life hack too, in terms of time. That's great. Oh, good stuff. Okay, so let's get back into the questions here. So let's see here, make sure I'm caught up here. I am. And by the way, if you guys enjoyed that, that walkthrough that we just did on that thing, if you're enjoying this information, having a good time in the stream so far, if you haven't yet,
if you're enjoying the show, remember to give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend right now.
All right. So Summit the Dragon, now we're back, right? Summit the Dragon, like 10 minutes later, I might be even longer. I don't know how long we've been, on that whole thing, but 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, we are back. Summit the Dragon. So Summit the Dragon has an art and digital art channel. The goal of the channel says, I'd like to share art and make a few comics. And the question is, I'm taking a new approach to speed paint, but it's also a little crowded. How do I get attention to the viewers when taking a new approach in a crowded niche? For reference, I'm planning on combining one with role playing, and I've made a reverse speed paint. That's interesting. So what you're doing right there in terms of doing it literally backwards from what everybody else is doing, that's a way that you can stand out. So then that way they can watch it come apart instead of watching it all go back together. And you might end up finding like a whole demographic of people that are totally into that. So you're taking those right steps. So when it comes to standing out on YouTube, the very first thing is that, of course, the you part of YouTube in terms of you being the content creator, if you're on camera or if you're just using your voice or if you're just expressing yourself through animations, whatever the thing is, the you and the way that you think about things and all of that, that is the biggest thing that will help you stand out. But in addition to that, what you want to do is you want to go look at all the other people in your space that make similar content that you do. You want to go look at all those other channels that are doing what you do and start seeing the things that they all do that seem to work well, because some of those things, of course, you want to implement. But in addition to that, Darth Platypus, what's up? Hope you're doing awesome. But in addition to that, you also want to make sure that you're looking at them and thinking, okay, I could do that better. They're all doing kind of this whole vibe. Maybe I could just introduce a whole new vibe to this entire space. Maybe everybody's, sitting at a desk like this. Maybe I'm going to start vlogging instead. Maybe everybody else is vlogging. So I'm going to start, doing something a little bit differently. But the idea is to just make sure that you're just seeing what everybody else is doing and trying to just look for those opportunities. In some cases, it can be like, hey, everybody's talking about this stuff and they're doing these really long videos. I'm going to be the person that's making, the really short ones. Just so that, I'm taking all those people that don't have time to watch a 30-minute video. If it's something to where everybody's, doing all this fancy stuff, then in that case, doing it in a little bit more of an amateur style to where it just feels a little bit more real. If everybody else is doing it like super high quality professional, then in that case, that might be the way that you stand out. So the idea is just look what everybody else is doing and just look for those opportunities through the content in terms of, all of the other people that are making similar content to you. Look at what they're doing and just look for that opportunity to do something that they are not. That's the idea. Next up on our list here, and really quick, I saw a member message come in. Let's Get Clacking says, thanks for the support and encouragement. Worked very hard to an opportunity we spoke about in members only, and it's paying off big time for my future. Love hearing that. Congratulations to you for that. And again, taking action, because that's everything. Positive Creator, hope that you're doing awesome. Welcome to the stream today. Says YouTube can be hard at times and time consuming, but I guess it's just the process. It is. And part of that too is, like if you're doing this as a hobby, then it doesn't have to be as hard because you're just doing it, for fun and all that stuff. So you don't have to be as serious about it. But if you are somebody that's like, hey, I'm trying to take this to the next level, trying to do this as like a side hustle or as like a main source of income or something like that, then in that case, then that's where you got to work a little bit harder. You got to take it a little bit more seriously. You got to educate yourself a little bit more and all that stuff. But if you're doing it as a hobby, then in that case, it's not as, critical, so to speak, to be like, oh, I got to make sure I'm doing all these things and I got to keep all these things in mind with every video that I upload, all that stuff, because, the view counts and all those things, they aren't as critical, so to speak, in that case, if you're doing it as a hobbyist. Really quick, first, Jan from NYC Saves Money says that she just recently hit 3,000 subscribers. Never thought that day would happen, but it did. High five and fist bump to you. Congratulations to you for hitting that milestone. Nice work. And hey, a little fun thing I'm going to show you guys here really quick. I'm not going to do it yet. I got a whole thing that I'm working on here for milestones. You guys are going to like freak out. It's super funny. You're going to laugh. You're not going to freak out. You're going to laugh because it's funny for when people cross milestones. Okay. So the next question that we have here on the list to just kind of keep us moving here is from Fretboard Diaries. Fretboard Diaries says that they do guitar related content. The goal is to build a community, eventual monetization. Man, you know what? I'm so happy to be back. It's funny. Just really quick, I'll get to your question here in a second, Fretboard Diaries. But like, it's so funny that like when you're just so used to just being there, like Saturdays, 9 a.m. every single Saturday, day, weekend in, weekend out, and all that stuff, and you miss one, it's like you feel like you get this big like hole in your like schedule or like whatever. And I just want to say really quick, I'm just pumped to be back here streaming today. Glad to be having this conversation with you, and I'm glad that every single one of you are hanging out in the stream today. Hope that you are getting value from what we're talking about. So let's see here. So guitar related content. Goal of the channel is to build community, eventual monetization. The question is, says Nick, I know there's some analytics for the community tab in the studio version of desktop, but is there any way to tell how many people subscribed from each post? Just curious. So they show you the view counts right now, but they don't show the subscriber counts as of this moment in time in terms of people that subscribe from those posts. But with that, it's usually your subscribers that will see that mostly, unless you get super high engagement on it. If you get super high engagement on it, then it'll go out to more people. But in a lot of cases, it'll be your subscribers that'll usually see those the most. So because of that, technically, yeah, you could absolutely, gain more subscribers from them. But, I would just focus on your video content for that, because at the end of the day, it's going to be the video content on your channels that's going to move the needle for you more than anything else that you can possibly do. So, because of that, you just got to double down on the actual content, learn how to make the content in a way that your viewers will respond to. So, next question that we have here on our list today is from Behind the Veil. That sounds mysterious, right? Behind the Veil. Says they do mental health and well-being content. The goal of the channel is to provide content which helps people find purpose and meaning in their lives. That's good. Love it. Question is, Thank you for all the great information and guidance you provide, Nick. Do you have any tips for bringing storytelling into videos which are educational? You know, I do, but here's what I want you to do in your case specifically. So with my type of content, I typically sit here and I talk to you and I like share information with you. I basically just share the things that you need to know in a way to where it's like, hey, you know, I set everything up, turn everything on, sit here, share the information that you need to know, shut everything down, like that's done. However, I don't, you know, include like any real story in the content that I put out. I just focus on like, hey, this is the information. Let's just, you know, get the information out. So in contrast, there's a YouTube channel called Film Booth. Ed over there is absolutely crushing it. And he uses storytelling in what it is that he's doing. And he uses storytelling in terms of, you know, the story that he tells through the video, but also in the way that he produces the content as well. So, you know, he creates like these epic pieces of content that also share YouTube related content. So for the contrast, if you look at my content, you look at what it is that he's doing, his version is a way that you use storytelling and educational content. So because of that, I really recommend that you look at his channel for inspiration. Since you're wanting to use storytelling within your educational content, I would look at Ed's channel for inspiration there, because he's crushing it and he's really good at it. Because, you know, like you can do some of this stuff and you can be like, you know, like, okay, you know what, but he's really good in terms of, you know, putting the stories together, in terms of making the video content to match the story and putting everything together in a way to where when you watch it, it feels great. It pulls you through the entire video. You're at the end of the video and you're like, oh, I didn't even realize it was the end of the video, because of the way that he puts them together through the story. So me, I'm like, step number 1, step number 2, this is what you need to know, right? And his is like, you know, these are the things you need to know, but I'm going to entertain the heck out of you, you know, through this story that I'm telling, you know, on the way, so that you also get that information. So I really recommend that you check him out, just so you can see that very clear difference between, you know, the base educational content like I do and the storytelling version like he does. Let's jump down to the bottom here of the comments. There we go. Okay, so let's see here. Next up on our list here, we've got Hulk Gaming. Right? Makes me want to go like this. I guess that would be like Hulk Hogan, actually, not like Incredible Hulk. Maybe you mean Hulk Hogan. I don't know. I don't know what you mean with the name, but they do gaming content. The goal is to get subscribers and views. Question is how to get my first 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 hours of watch time. Great question. Here's what you got to think about. When you're uploading content to YouTube, you are not, I mean, you're making content for yourself because, you know, you enjoy making content, but if you want other people to enjoy it enough to subscribe to your YouTube channel, to watch your videos for longer periods of time, things like that, then what you have to do is you have to learn how to put content together in a way that will pull people through it. You have to learn how to come up with video topics that people will find interesting enough to click on, or that they'll find valuable enough in terms of the value that you're promising through that content, in order to click on them, in order to come into the videos and participate in those videos. So because of that, it's really going to come down to the value that you add to your content, the decisions that you make in terms of the content decisions, and it's also going to come down to how good you are at getting people to watch. Now, keep in mind, a lot of content creators, when they first start out on YouTube, and even, you know, after they have some experience, like when they first, you know, start getting going, okay, they've already got them. But when they first, you know, start getting going, you know, you got to make sure that you are going through the process of thinking, okay, if my video shows up on a homepage on YouTube, just shows up somewhere on YouTube, right? A homepage, search, if it shows up, you know, recommended next to another piece of content, suggested videos, you got to think to yourself, okay, one, how's this going to help the people that I'm trying to reach identify that this content's for them, right? Through the packaging in terms of topic, title, and thumbnail, which the topic gets expressed through the thumbnail and title. But you got to think, how can I make my content, or how can I make my thumbnail and title in a way it's going to help them, one, identify that this content's for them in some way, you know, it's something that they're going to be curious about, or something that's going to help them in some way, you know, something that's going to get them all fired up, you know, whatever the thing is. But you got to make sure that you do that, and that you can define, okay, if the people that I'm trying to reach, in your case, I guess it would be, you know, other gamers playing the similar games that you are, or learning from the information that you're sharing about the games, then in that case, what you have to think about is, okay, for other gamers, what can I do with my thumbnails to help them identify that this is about that game? Obviously, you would use imagery from that game. So you would want to make sure that you're not just using like a screenshot, but that you're trying to style your thumbnail up a little bit for the sake of enlarging things that are recognizable about the game, so that when people see those things, they don't have to think about it. Because here's what happens, right? When we're all using YouTube, everybody, let me get my Face ID. There we go. When we're all using YouTube, what we do is we sit here and we're like, okay, yeah, that's interesting. Hey, there I am. Look at that. Hey, this is the live stream right now. But anyway, like, we're like, hey, what's that? Interesting. What's that? Interesting. And we're looking at thumbnails. Sometimes we'll glance down at titles, right? And we're just sitting there looking And what happens is we're like, oh, that's interesting. Like this, for example, right? Because I've been watching a lot of music content, on my here we go. I've been watching a lot of like music production content. So because of that, I see right here, this is an interface for either a piece of software, music software. This looks like Fruity Loops actually. So that helps me identify at a glance without having to put any effort into it whatsoever. I can identify at a glance that this has something to do with something that I'm interested in, which is music production. So because of that, that helps me identify that. Now, another really great example of this is, right here. This one's a terrifying prediction for 2030, the Great Reset. So here, for her, this dude that's on here, I'm gonna guess that if you're into, like her type of content, you're probably familiar with who that particular guy is, as an example. And, like right now, with what's going on with like Johnny Depp and all that, you see Johnny Depp's face and his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend, whatever she is, you see her and like, in all these thumbnails on YouTube because it helps people that are interested in that trial. I don't even know if it's still going on, but it helps them identify that that video has something to do with that. And that's what's prominent. They're not small. They're not, just like a little side note in the corner with a bunch of graphics. It's focused on them because that helps people identify that it's something that they care about. So then they click on it. So what you have to think about is when my content shows up on a homepage recommended next to another video, what about my title and thumbnail is going to help people recognize, one, that this is something they care about. Two, what about that same combination of the title and thumbnail is going to help the people that I'm trying to reach think, oh, I need to watch this, right? What can you do to either make it explicitly clear the value you're getting or to trigger them in some way in terms of, some type of, thing you're exposing or whatever? Or what can you do to, create some type of curiosity? Like, oh, I need to see this, right? That's the idea that you got to make sure that you're doing, because you got to learn how to do that part to get people into your video in the first place. And then once you do that, that's where you start, adding the value, entertaining people, doing all of those things in order to get them to see the value so that they'll subscribe to your YouTube channel, so they'll keep watching your videos, keep coming back for more, so that you can get that watch time in that first 1,000 subscribers. Rhino Man Slots, thank you for the super chat. Says, do you have any suggestions for the slot channel niche? I would definitely make sure, just like I was talking about with your thumbnails, I'd make sure that you are featuring big and bold. I know like some of those channels, they'll take like a photo of like a gaming floor in Vegas, for example, or something like that, where you can't really see the details of what's going on. Like you can do that as well, but I would make sure that I would compare those against thumbnails that you make to where, it shows like the slots, right? Like, hey, these are the slots, because the people that you're trying to reach that are interested in, watching that slot type of content, that's something that they can identify with right out of the gate, right? So doing that, making sure that you're just focused on the imagery there. Like in a lot of cases, a lot of people are using text in their thumbnails. You don't even have to. You just got to focus on the imagery that's going to help the people recognize that it's something they care about, so that they look at the title. And that's where you have to make a compelling title in order to get them to be like, oh yeah, I want to see this, right? So what you got to make sure that you're doing is, of course, using that imagery. And then of course, on the title side of things, making sure that you are doing that. Now, another thing that I want to give you, and this works across the board with whatever type of content that you're making, a few exceptions like music and stuff like that. But like when you are starting your videos, always introduce some type of hook to your video. And in your case specifically, you can just do it as a challenge, right? And the idea is, hey, and I'm just gonna say you're in Vegas. I don't know where you're actually playing slots, but my brain automatically defaults to Vegas. So like, let's say you're in Vegas, you're playing slots. Then in that case, when your video first starts, like, hey, we're here in Vegas. We're going over these machines right here. We're trying to reach this specific dollar amount in winnings, or we have this much money to spend. How long is it going to take us to spend? Because we're going to lose some, we're going to win some. How long is it going to take? Put a little timer, bam, right there on the screen. And the whole video is a countdown until you're broke. Or, you could have, two things, like we're either trying to hit this or we're trying to bottom out, so to speak. We're trying to go big or lose it all. Then in that case, just make it clear. Have a little, chart over on the side where people can follow along so that they have a reason to be committed to watching the content. Because if it's just like, hey, everything's real loose and we're not really like doing anything, but we just kind of want you to follow along, then there's no real clarity there on the reason that they should stay. So because of that, when you introduce that challenge or you let people know like, hey, in this video, this is what we're trying to accomplish. Then right out of the gate, what you're doing is you are giving them a reason to stay because you're telling them that goal, and then they get to sit there and figure out like, hey, or have that anticipation on if you're actually going to complete that task or not. So, so I would definitely make sure that you are implementing those sorts of things into what it is that you're doing. Let's see here. Shut Up and React TV. I almost feel mean saying that, but it's your channel name. Says, began watching at 250 subscribers, 20,000 plus later, still here. High five and fist bump to you for crossing 20,000 subscribers. Welcome back to the stream. Super happy that you are enjoying the content. Let's see here. Rhino, let's see here. Rhino Man Slots. My pleasure. Thank you for that. Hey, in addition to that too, just one more thing, just since, you did say that is, also keep in mind, just the overall experience that people are having with your content. I know that sounds a little bit vague, but what you want to think about is inside of your YouTube channel, like once you start implementing the hooks and you give people that thing to connect to in terms of that reason they should watch, one of the things that you want to make sure that you're thinking about as well is when you're putting together that type of content, because you have so much footage to work with, I'm sure, while it's all, while you're recording everything. So when you get back and you're in front of the, computer and you're editing everything down, just make sure that you're also paying really close attention to your audience retention reports through every video that you publish, because some details that you might find in your content is you might find like, hey, when we're walking, looking for a machine to play, people really stick around for that part. But once we sit down, if we don't start getting into like some wins or losses after, a short period of time, then, people tend to leave, little details like that. So what you want to start doing is, as people start interacting with your content, I'm sure they already are, but as people are interacting with your content, you want to make sure that you are taking those notes on your audience retention report. So when you notice those things, you notice that pattern across videos. One video, it's like, hey, yeah, this could be, just kind of a one-off. But if you notice that happen across like 5 different videos, then in that case, it's like, okay, this is a problem. The people that are interacting with my content, they love us walking, looking for a machine, but, we only have a certain amount of time in order for us to, start pulling the, that almost went south real quick, to start the slot, to start pulling the slot. So because of that, you just want to make sure that that you are taking those notes as well, so that you can just start to get a really good idea of the things that cause your viewers to stay, the things that cause your viewers to leave. So you can make sure that you're doing more of the one and less of the other. And by doing that, you'll end up over time learning the video lengths that you need to make, learning the specific things you need to record more of when you're actually recording your videos, because people enjoy that stuff more and so on. So just make sure you're keeping those things in mind as well. Let's see here. Ain't Newbie. Hope that you're doing awesome. Let's see here as we keep on going. Okay, really quick, says, so it may be true. Some of these big YouTubers only have jump cuts in their editing, and that it still gets views. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, ain't newbie. Just a really quick thing that I want to mention here is when it comes to, your video editing and, everything that you're putting together, there isn't necessarily like a rule for YouTube, right? The rule is make content that your audience responds to. In some cases, like I watch some channels that the presenter that is sharing the information, it's just a one-take video. They have no editing at all, but their presentation is so solid that they keep me engaged through like a 10 or 15 minute video. And there's no editing. They just have a great presentation. In addition to that, some types of content, you got to be changing everything on the screen every like 2 or 3 seconds or people will bail. So, it really comes down to what it is that you're doing and you understanding what the people that YouTube is showing your content to. And I'm going to say that again. The people YouTube is showing your content to, understanding how they respond to what it is that you're doing, and then making the modifications from there to create the best possible experience for them. So that's the idea. And it's not luck, right? Like when it comes to YouTube, It's about understanding the people that you're trying to reach with your content. It's about being consistent. It's about developing the skills needed to make good thumbnails, to write good titles, things like that. Of course, there are some things, in terms of luck that happen, but in order for you to be able to capitalize on those, then you have to be prepared for those opportunities, and that usually comes through the skill development. So because of that, just keep all of those things in mind, if you want to do well. Satori Graphics, hope you're doing awesome. So let's see here as we keep on going. Brain Drain. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Okay, so next up on our list here, we've got question number 5 here, moving through them. This is good. Let's Get Clacking says they do crafting, circuit, pronounced cricket. Sorry, Cricut, cricket tutorials. The goal is to share my knowledge and to help people. The question is, what financial tips other than diversification, got that down, would you give to someone on the brink of resigning and going full time? I estimate within the next 4 months, it will be my reality thanks to freelance work. That's awesome. High five and fist bump to you. Big clap on that one, because there's nothing better. As long as you're the type of personality that, that can handle it, because some people can't. There's nothing better than being able to control your entire day, right? Like waking up and being able to do, like if you're a morning person, being able to get a lot of stuff done in the morning. If you're an evening person or a night owl, being like, hey, I'm just going to do all my stuff during the day while everybody else is at work. And, I don't have any traffic. I don't have any lines, none of that. And then I'm going to come in at nighttime and I'm going to do my, thing there. All of that stuff, like being able to control all of that is absolutely fantastic. Square Table Degenerates, hope you're doing awesome. So, in terms of tips, so right out of the gate, make sure that you have an emergency fund. So basically when you are, especially when you're going to be, self-dependent, like I'm not sure what your options are for like health insurance and all that, but you're going to have to take care of that stuff. So because of that, it's funny, I coughed right after I said the health insurance thing, but because of that, you want to make sure that you are, that you go ahead and secure health insurance in case you need it. You also want to make sure that you have an emergency fund, and the emergency fund is for multiple things. So of course you need this if you have a job too, but the idea with an emergency fund is you just got to have, some money saved so that in the event that your car breaks down, you have to get something expensive repaired, a tree falls on your house, something like that, then you got to make sure that you can take care of that without, going into debt for it or completely, stressing out over the whole situation. In addition to that, you also want to make sure that whatever it is that you think that you need to make, add like another, at least 30% to that, just for all the hidden things that are going to come along with it in terms of the services you're going to have to subscribe to and those types of things as a freelancer to make sure that you can keep everything moving forward, especially as you scale, that particular business. In addition to that, always reserve your taxes. So, when you first get paid, make sure that you put that money aside for your taxes, because, they always want their money no matter what. So make sure you put that money aside for your taxes so that you're not on the lam, so to speak, when tax season comes around and you're not chasing around like, oh my gosh, I didn't put any money aside for taxes. So just make sure that you're doing those things in order to, get you covered. You said that you have diversification taken care of, so, you'll be good there. But for the other things, just make sure that you are prepared, because life will throw you curveballs sometimes. You got to make sure that you can handle them. In some situations, that might be a little bit more difficult if you don't have, that insurance or you don't have, the emergency fund or something like that. So let's see here. Next thing on the list here is How We Got Here Genealogy. They do daily content. The type of channel is history and genealogy. The goal of the channel is to grow a community of people interested in better understanding history by understanding their own family history and how it fits in. The question: I started a daily This Day in History short recently. I originally started posting the day in the day at 9 a.m., but then the day before 9 p.m. because I wasn't getting the impressions that I was hoping for as quickly. Seeing the videos that take off due about 2 days after the day of reference. So should I post earlier? My concern is then it won't be This Day in History. Yeah, so that's the thing. Like when you are focused on those things that are time dependent, then, you are kind of at the mercy of, like, hey, now there's enough people that responded well to it. So now it's going to start getting more views and things like that. So, when you are like, hey, this day in history, this is what happened today. Then in that case, you are kind of at a disadvantage there. The one place that you could be, or that you could have a win is, you know, if you did that in kind of like a live stream or something like that, where you made like a destination for people to check into. In that case, then it would be like, hey, I'm going live here. Anybody interested in this? Over time, as they start to know that you have that, then they can, you know, start showing up for those. Technically, they can still do it with your shorts, but they actually would have to go to your channel in order to access your shorts from there. So it's just a little bit, you know, same idea, same approach, I guess. But it's just, you know, a little bit different there. But you know, that is kind of a disadvantage that you have doing like a today in history type of thing, because, you know, something that happened last month, when it gets presented to you on YouTube as a short or long form video, you know, it may or may not be, you know, as interesting in that case. So one thing that you might want to consider, as I was just getting ready to stop talking about that, one thing you might want to consider is you might want to consider, instead of saying this day in history, just starting it out without, you know, any of that phrasing if you're using it, and starting it out as like, you know, on April 22nd, you know, this day, this particular thing, and, you know, this particular thing happened. So then that way you're just kind of talking about the history instead of making it seem like, you know, it needs to be today. And I know that that kind of goes a little bit outside of kind of like the theme that you have for that, but by doing that, that would make the content a little bit more evergreen. Instead of making it about today, it would just be about, you know, all of these moments in history versus the framing that it's more about, you know, more about today. Pitbull Love ASMR, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. And trust me, I make plenty of mistakes. Pitbull Love ASMR says, Nick can talk, no mistakes. Great content. Love this guy. Thank you for the kind words. But yeah, I make tons of mistakes. Like I'll trip over words constantly. Like I use tons of filler words and things like that from time to time. Just kind of depends on what's going on. I'm feeling good today. I'm just super pumped to be back, you know, on the stream today and stuff. So I think everything's just kind of coming out kind of good today for that reason, just because I'm super excited to just be here today and just be, you know, hanging out. Hybrid Steel, what's up, Mike? Hope you're doing awesome, man. Better Mind Journey, nice to see you here today. So let's see here. So as we keep on going, the next question that we have here on our list is from No Name Yet, thinking about starting one. Oh, we got somebody starting a YouTube channel. This is good. So the type of channel is going to be reaction. They don't know what they want from it in terms of the goals. And the question is, hello, I'm thinking about starting a reaction channel to a web series published on either YouTube or other platforms. I want to know what issues I would be facing. Can I show the video of a series published on YouTube? What about content not available on YouTube, but I watched it on these streaming services, etc.? I have no idea how to get around the copyright issues so I can eventually monetize and not get penalized and or get strikes. Okay, so here's the thing. Just as a heads up, as you are, like, you already know that you're kind of going uphill here in this situation. So because of that, you need to make sure that you're educating yourself on something called fair use. What fair use is fair use is kind of a defense of sorts. So it's not, you know, it's not like a legal standing, like, hey, you know, this is the thing, but it's a defense. So if you do, you know, run into legal issues with a copyright, as long as the way that you're putting the content together is done in a way that you could use fair use as the defense, then in that case, then you just need to make sure you're putting your content together in that way, and then you should be all right. But keep in mind, as part of your workflow, there's a really good chance you're going to be combating copyright claims on a regular basis, in some cases strikes on a regular basis. So just make sure that you build that in as part of your workflow. But this type of content, you know, reactions, things like that, it's very popular on YouTube. Tons of people get away with it, but some people do have to, you know, especially as your channel gets bigger and you start getting a lot more views, in other words, you start getting a lot more attention, then in that case, there's more people to like report the content and things like that. So just keep in mind, you know, that you might have to make that part of your workflow in terms of, you know, submitting counter notifications and all that good stuff for your copyright claims. Let's see here. So let's keep on trucking here. Tawana Yvette Vlogs, thank you for the kind words there. I am as well. Thank you.
If you're enjoying the show, remember to give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend right now.
Coded Despair says they've been on YouTube for less than 6 months. They do gaming and Minecraft content. The goal of the channel says, I wanted to get monetized and get big to help people in my genre. And the question is, how can I improve my thumbnails in editing? So to improve your thumbnails, one thing that you can do is you can start watching videos on graphic design. You can start watching videos on photography as well. And the reason that I recommend those two things is because if you are using any types of graphics in your videos, then the graphic design is going to help you understand how to use color in a better way. It's going to help you understand how to focus the eyes on very specific things in your thumbnails. If you start watching videos on photography, then that's also going to teach you about drawing eyes to certain things using like leading lines, the rule of thirds, you know, all these things to where it helps you make your thumbnails in a better way and helps you learn how to focus people on very specific things in your thumbnails. So I recommend doing both of those things in terms of consuming that type of content. When it comes to editing, study other content creators in your niche. Also make sure that you're studying other content creators across other niches as well, even stuff that you might not normally watch. Make sure that you're watching other videos of other types of content so that you can pay attention. How often are people cutting? Where are they zooming? Where are they not zooming? Where are they, you know, putting extra footage or B-roll is what that's called on top of the main video in order to, you know, focus people on that for a minute in order to keep things changing? Are they, you know, slowly zooming in on stuff? You know, like how exactly are they putting the videos together? Are, you know, when the screen is static, so to speak, in terms of like nothing really moving around the screen, you know, are they one of those, you know, channels that has, you know, the entire screen kind of shaking a little bit while they're sitting there talking, those types of things. So you want to make sure that you are studying the editing styles of other content creators, especially in your space, the ones that are successful because they figured out how to make content people respond to. But in addition to that, you also want to make sure that you are spending a lot of time. So whatever video editing software that you use, you want to make sure that you're spending a lot of time learning how to use that at the best possible way. And you want to make sure that you give yourself enough time to edit your videos. So, you know, if you got to publish on Tuesday, you don't want to record and, you know, do everything on Monday, because then you're going to be in a hurry to get everything finished. So you might not put that extra polish on there that would, you know, raise your audience retention by, you know, 5, 10, or 15%. So because of that, you just want to make sure that you are giving yourself that time as well, so that you can make sure that you're putting everything together in the best possible way, and that you're learning how to do that. Because, you know, all of this editing software, you know, it doesn't matter what you're using, all of it comes with at least a little bit of a learning curve. So because of that, you know, you have to learn, you know, what the functions are, that at least the ones that will help you get the job done for the type of content that you're wanting to create. So let's see here. Next up on our list here, we've got. Hey, really quick, I just wanted to just give another shout out here, or another kind of shameless plug. So you may or may not know that we launched a music service for content creators. It's free. So if you are a video creator or a live streamer or a podcaster, you can get music for all of that stuff at creatormix.com. We've got a YouTube channel for it. I've got that pinned at the very top of the screen as well. I recommend that you subscribe over there so that you can be notified, you know, when we have new songs come up, so you can be like one of the first to use some of the new stuff. In addition to that, I also recommend that you follow us over on Twitter, because same exact thing. If there's any issues that we're having or anything like that, we'll post it over there. You know, we, you know, post new songs, that kind of stuff, you know, it'll be over there. So just make sure you're following us over there as well. But, you know, when it comes to music, everybody knows the headaches that people are having with music right now on YouTube. We're trying to fix that. So you can get music over at creatormix.com. You can find us and stream us in your live streams, you know, background music like I'm doing right now. You know, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, you know, all the streaming platforms, you know, whatever works out best for you. You can use Creator Mix on any of those streaming platforms. So next up, we've got Better Mind Journey. Better Mind Journey says that they do, let's see here, well-being and personal development tips. The goal of the channel is I want to supplement future books and services that I may offer. And the question is, do you have any tips for coming up with content ideas? Boy, do I. Boy, do I have ideas for video ideas. Okay, so when it comes to video ideas, very first place to look is in the comments of other people who make videos like yours. So what you can do is you can go into the comment section and you can say, okay, these are, you know, questions that people are asking about this thing that this person, you know, made videos about that person didn't cover in their video. Can I make an entire video about this to serve the community at scale? In addition to that, you can also go up to the search bar of YouTube and start typing in different things around the type of content that you make. And then YouTube is going to show you a drop down that's called the autocomplete. They're going to show you a drop down of other things that people are typically searching for around that type of content. Now you can level that whole thing up a little bit. Here, I'll show you, as a matter of fact. Let me take this as an opportunity. Wink, wink, wink here. let me take this as an opportunity to just show you something here. Give me 1 second. Let me go to YouTube here so I can get this all sorted just to kind of show you how this works. This is really easy. So anybody that, is looking for video ideas, I'm actually going to show you 2 additional resources here. Let's go for 3. We're going to go big today. We're going to go for 3 different resources here for video ideas. Technically, you can use the thing that we talked about earlier with the research tab inside of YouTube, but you can also, let me hit the share option here so that I can show you this. Let's go to this window, and I think it's this one. So we're going to add this here to the stream. So basically what you do is you go right up here to the search bar, right? And you click into here, and then you'll see, like, let's say you make cakes, right? Let's say you have a channel about cakes. Then in that case, you see cakes video, cakes at home, cakes and eclairs. These are things about cakes. So let's say you're like, hey, I'm thinking about making something about chocolate cakes. Then what you do here is you see chocolate cake recipes, decoration, ASMR, mukbang, shakes, designs, all this other stuff. But what you can also do is you can type in the letter A at the end, and then you're going to see the things that people are looking for around the letter A there. We're going to go to letter B. You're going to see the things that people are looking for there. And I just want to give a shout out to chocolate cake banana. Like, I would love to have a chocolate cake with banana in it right now. Like, that would be fantastic. But we got chocolate cake balls. We've got chocolate cake birthdays. We got chocolate baking. And you just kind of keep going through this. And then what you do is from there, you can also come up here and you can say, like, how to chocolate cakes. We got how to make chocolate cakes, how to make cornflake chocolate cakes, and so on. But no matter what type of content that you make, with the exception of some entertainment content, we're coming up with 100% original ideas, then you can use this as a way to figure out things that people are looking for. You can also do this when it comes to trending things if you are a entertainment channel. So like here we have, Johnny Depp court case live, Johnny Depp lawyer live stream, Johnny Depp trial 2022. And then right here, I'm just going to do this, and I'm just going to do the same exact thing. A. Pirate's Life for me, this 1,000 years, all these other things about Johnny Depp. We've got this one for B, and you just kind of keep going through that list as well until you come up with ideas. Another website that you can use for this as well is, let's see here, and we are Chocolate Cake. This is called Answer the Public right up here at the top. And with Answer the Public, you get 3 free searches per day. But a really cool thing about this is you put in your question once, and then you can see here, it kind of spits out all these things that people are looking for. Hey, no, I do not want that. Close. But you can see all these different things that people are talking about here around chocolate cake, and they also show you different displays of this as well. If you come down here where they show you, all these different things that people are looking for around chocolate cake. So basically whatever type of content that you make, if you're doing gaming content, I was going to go into Google Trends and stuff, we showed that earlier. But if you are going to, regardless of the type of content you make, if you use those types of tools, it will help you do that. Now, in addition to that, TubeBuddy also has their Keyword Explorer where it does a similar thing to where you can, put in your keyword or your topic, and then it's going to do the same exact thing. It's actually going to collect that information, and it's going to show you that information on one screen to where you don't have to, use all these other different tools. You can just use TubeBuddy for it. Next time somebody asks that in the chat, I'll show you that example too. So let's see here. So next question that we have here, this is a super chat. Just a tip is the name of this one. Says, hey, WB, I'm 50 subs away from being a partner on YouTube. Real milestone for me. And I wanted to ask if you have any do's and don'ts after being a partner. Absolutely. So just so you know, once you become a partner in the YouTube Partner Program, you are now a business because you are generating income from the efforts that you're putting into your YouTube channel. So make sure that you approach that appropriately. Depending on how much money you start making, you may want to, actually set up like a side company for your business and all that good stuff, because it is an income source now. And there are, some benefits that come along with, having a company and all that good stuff. So because of that, you want to make sure that you're considering that. But in addition to that, just make sure you're playing by the rules. So YouTube is, pretty loose on, a lot of their rules, but they're pretty strict on others. So if you get a copyright strike, for example, then you're going to lose your monetization instantly. So you just want to make sure that you are playing by the rules of YouTube in order to just maintain your status. In addition to that, the requirement, of course, is to get 1,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel and 4,000 hours of watch time. So you got to make sure that within a 365-day period that you maintain, of course, you're going to still have those subscribers, but that you got to make sure that you maintain that 4,000 hours of watch time, because if you don't, don't, then what can happen is once that 365-day period comes around, and keep in mind this is a rolling thing. So, like as one day falls off, the new day, comes up. So because of that, just keep in mind that you have to make sure that you're still hitting that 4,000 hours of watch time requirement in order to maintain your status in the YouTube Partner Program. Man, I'm feeling good here on the stream today. This is great. Okay, so next up on the list, we've got King Donnie. King Donnie says that they have an entertainment channel. The goal of the channel says, YouTube is my passion. I couldn't see myself doing anything else. I also want to give people a small escape from the hardships of life. Good for you. Good for, life is hard for a lot of people right now. So it's good for you to be giving people that break. That's awesome. The question is, do the same SEO tips apply to an entertainment channel? If you're doing entertainment content, you can target search, but really your big wins are going to be learning how to get traffic from the homepage and suggested videos. Because, like search-based content is great. Like if you're teaching people stuff like I do, things like that, like you can create a really stable source of traffic to your videos or viewership to your videos by, having some of your content very specifically or all of your content very specifically targeted for YouTube search. But if you want, if you're an entertainment channel, you want like those breakouts. So because of that, I would focus more on making, great entertainment content, obviously, right? But I would also focus on like trying to like ride trends and things like that in terms of making content about things that people are, more interested in at that point in time for the certain demographics that you're trying to reach, those types of things when it comes to entertainment. Because when you are going after search traffic for entertainment, in that particular case, like, yeah, people will look for like, challenge videos, things like that. But like the real win is like when you have like an epic thumbnail where people are like, oh my gosh, like I wonder what happens right here, right? Or an epic package in terms of topic, title, and thumbnail. And people are like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen here. Like that's where you get the really big win. Because for example, like, if you were to go to YouTube search and if your video showed up in YouTube search, if people, for all the people that are on YouTube looking for challenge videos, which I'm sure there's a lot of them in YouTube search, but the amount of people you're going to be able to reach from showing up in those search results, quickly is going to be relatively low compared to the amount of attention that you can get from the recommendation features of YouTube, which means, the homepage and suggested videos. So because of that, I would make sure that you're not necessarily thinking of it from the perspective of like, hey, I'm trying to get my entertainment videos to rank in search. You should be thinking of it from the perspective of, okay, my videos are going to show up on the home pages of people that want to be entertained, right? Because tons of people come to YouTube for entertainment. That's one of the biggest drivers of traffic to YouTube. So because of that, you have to think to yourself, what about this thumbnail and title combination would make just a random person that doesn't know me, they don't know anything about my channel, they've never watched my content before. What about this would cause a random person on the internet that doesn't know me, they're not familiar with me, what would cause them to think like, oh, I need to see this, right? And you need to define that thing. So whatever that thing is, you need to define it. And if you can't define it, keep working on it until you can. That means if you have to write 50 different titles, if you have to make 20 different thumbnails, do it until you can define, okay, this one right here, this is definitely going to get people to click. Now, in addition to that, another thing you want to make sure that you're thinking about if you are somebody that's making entertainment content is try to think of all that stuff ahead of time. So if you know that you're going to be making a video about this specific thing, also think, okay, how am I going to represent this idea for this particular challenge or for this particular thing that we're doing? How am I going to represent this idea in terms of a thumbnail and a title? And then work on that part first so that you can put that together in a great way that, would be something compelling. But then you can also make sure that when people click on that, that you can deliver on what it is that's there instead of making the content and then thinking like, okay, out of all this content, what can I use in here, for my image, for my thumbnail, and how can I package this up? And you're kind of working it in reverse that way. But if you do it the other way to where you do the thumbnail and the title first, and then you put the content together afterwards, and the shots that you need to get for the, for your thumbnail and all of that, then in that case, it gives you a lot more options for the images that you're using for your thumbnails. You're going to be very intentional about, the viewer experience of how they're coming through, what it is that you are doing. You're going to be very intentional about the things that you're, showing because you've put that planning in place first so that you can make sure you get everything that you need for the thumbnail, but also so that you can make sure that you're delivering on that promise that you've put together for the thumbnail and title as well. And by doing that, people are going to be getting from you what they expect as they come into your video, and they're going to keep watching it for a longer period of time. And as long as you're, creating a great experience for them and they're entertained by your content, YouTube will show it to more people. Cryptoholics, thank you for the super chat. Says, hey, Once the channel gets monetized, do live streams count for that 4,000 hours watch time, or do I still need to keep pumping videos to keep my 4,000 hours? Absolutely, they count. And you can get a considerable amount of watch time from live streams. So yeah, live streams absolutely count. So let's see here. Next up on our list here today, we've got, did we do King Donnie yet? Passion, yeah. Okay, and hey, another thing, King Donnie, man, if your passion's YouTube, like learn everything that you possibly can about YouTube, like learn how to do all the stuff, because, you know, like as your channel starts going good, you're probably gonna start reaching out for help in terms of having people make thumbnails and helping you edit and helping you come up with ideas and stuff. So like, you know, get a game plan together, you know, because, you know, one of the things about having YouTube is like your passion, that thing that you want to do, is that we live in a world where you can do that. You just have to figure it out, right? You got to figure out how to crack that nut, so to speak, so that you can, learn how to make that content people respond to. And then once you do that, then, you know, you're off to the moon. And in terms of entertainment channels, when you have an entertainment channel and you learn how to do those things in terms of like, okay, I'm defining those things that people would, you know, find interesting here. And I've got like thumbnails on standby to where if people aren't responding to this one, I'm going to swap it out, those types of things. Then what happens is you do give yourself the opportunity to really blow up, because, you know, with some types of content, like, you know, let's say, for example, if you're making content about like fishing, then in that case, like, yeah, you can still do great on those channels as well. But like the overnight difference that can happen on like an entertainment channel compared to a fishing channel is night and day, because you could have one video go viral on an entertainment channel that just puts you on the map and then just makes your channel a thing over the course of like, 5 days. so because of that, just keep that in mind and make sure that you are putting in that effort, because, when it comes to YouTube, sustainability comes from the effort that you put into it, and the results that you get long-term end up coming from, that effort that you put into it. So make sure that you are giving it everything you got. If it's your passion, lean into it, give it everything you got, because that's what it's going to take. So here, Kevin's Cave, Vegan Faves, says, thanks, Nick. Hello, everyone. This live is giving me the boost I need to be the best I can be. Thanks for providing me all of this info. Take care, Kev. Thank you. I'm glad that you are enjoying the stream. Glad that you're getting, some good value here. Glad that you are, fired up and that you're, motivated to, be the best that you can be. Super, super pumped up to see that. So as we keep on going here, next up, we've got Autumn Hathaway. Sound like an old movie star. They do an art vlog. The goal of the channel says sharing stamp carving adventures and more. The question is, hey, Nick, I love your Saturday morning lives. Thank you very much. Do you think the community section of our channels could morph into something that could be competitive with Instagram? Technically, it already is, in terms of, you can put posts in there. Like, it's actually better because, on Instagram, you have your feed where you can put photos and videos. On YouTube, you can put photos, you can put links to videos, you can put polls in there, you can put text in there. So it's actually already there, kind of. The only difference is you can't necessarily click from community tab from, here's community tab, across channels. So you have to actually, go to the channel, or you have to see the post in order to click into that community feed there. But you can use it like Instagram. So I worked with a vlog channel in the past. The person was a model, and they used their feed in that way. So they would post polls just for that, engagement, because the polls typically get a lot of engagement. Then they would also do like a this or that thing with their fashion content, to where they would post photos, and it would be like this outfit or this outfit, and then the community would come in and they would give all these votes on it and everything. And it was awesome in terms of how they used it. And you can do the same exact thing, but basically the community feed, just think of it as like a touch point. So, people that are interacting with your content and people that YouTube thinks would also be a good fit for, seeing that particular post. Like when you are putting those posts together, that's one more touch point. Community tabs, they show up in your community feed, but they also show up on home pages. They show up in mobile feeds as well. So because of that, when you are using your community feed on a regular basis, you're just giving yourself the opportunity to keep pulling people back into your YouTube channel on a regular basis to get more involved and more informed on what it is that you're doing. So for example, if you're using it in an Instagram kind of way and you're posting pictures there on a regular basis, then make sure you're posting pictures about things that your audience would care about. Like, hey, here's me doing this. Hey, I'm working on this video right here. Hey, this particular shot that I'm taking is a funny thing that's coming up in this video. You guys are going to love it. Like that type of thing, and use it as a community type of device that will help you, have those extra touch points to, more deeply interact with your community. Next up on our list today is That Math Thing. That Math Thing says that they do mathematics. The goal of the channel is to provide breakdowns of complicated math subjects. Question: I've heard that posting to Reddit can confuse the algorithm, but that's also where I get about a third of my YouTube views. Is sharing on Reddit hurting my videos? This one has about 700 views, then otherwise teetered out. So here's the thing. So when you share on external platforms, it's fine to share on external platforms. You just got to make sure that you're sharing in places where the people would naturally respond to your content if they were to see it on YouTube, right? But the difference is when you share something on Reddit, you share it as a link. So then you have, that title, whatever title it is that you write for it there. And then people are going to click on it. They're going to come in, they're going to interact with your video. And just as a heads up, you can go into your audience, or not your audience retention reports, you can go into your traffic sources reports for each individual video. You can see the external traffic and you can see how people that are coming from Reddit are responding to your content in terms of watch time. So just keep that in mind as well. So you can make sure that you're sharing it in the right communities and things like that based on how long they do watch when they come in. Or that can also tell you like, hey, I got to learn how to, grab people's attention better at the beginning because these Reddit people aren't clicking on it on YouTube. So I got to make sure that I'm, giving them something that, they'll deliver before they close it out and go back to Reddit. But in addition to that, you also want to consider, because you say it has 700 views and then it otherwise teetered out. So what happens, as you already know, is on Reddit, you make that post and then other people are making the post. So it's going down. And then, of course, that external traffic source is going to somewhat dry up. However, the reason it's teetering out is because you still got to get people to respond on YouTube, right? So it's not that it's confusing, YouTube or anything like that, as long as you're sharing it in the groups of people, that it's a good fit for. So because of that, you also have to think like, hey, I got to get my content to perform on YouTube. So the golden ticket, so to speak, is learning how to get people to respond here on the platform. And when you learn how to do that, then you can still share stuff, off platform and all that stuff if you want. But when you learn how to do that, one of the things that's going to happen is like you're going to come to a point to where you don't have to share your stuff because other people are going to be sharing your content when you publish it. So because of that, you got to make sure that you're doubling down on learning how to get people to respond on YouTube. The way that you do that is by first identifying how people respond to what it is that you're doing on YouTube. And you identify it by going into your traffic sources report for each video that you publish and looking to see your click-through rate from all the different places that people can find your video on YouTube. They show that. It's very clear in your traffic sources report. You'll see search, you'll see homepage, you'll see browse. If you click into that, you'll see homepages, subscription feed, you'll see suggested videos, you'll see channel pages, those types of things. But what you want to do is you want to use that information to get an idea of, hey, when YouTube shows my content to people on the homepage, this is how they respond to it there. They're either clicking on it a lot there or they're not, compared to the amount of impressions that I'm getting. Same exact thing from suggested videos and all the other sources that I just mentioned a second ago. Now, another thing you're going to see there is you're also going to see your average view duration or your average percentage viewed, depending on what it is that you add to that, to that chart. But basically, when you're looking at that as well, then you're also going to see like, hey, this is why I am or am not getting a lot of traffic from this particular source. So like if people are responding better from the home pages, then of course, YouTube's going to continue showing your content to more people on the home pages because it's competitive there. If you're getting low numbers all the way across the board, it's because people just aren't responding when YouTube is showing it to people, regardless of the source. If you find out that, you're like, hey, I'm getting a lot of activity here from search. I got a high click-through rate, high viewer duration. Then what that tells you is that when people are looking for your type of content, you're good at getting people to click when they're looking for it against just a handful of results there when people are looking for your video. And then once they come in, because they're looking for it, they're going to be a little bit more committed to that video. But that lets you know that like, hey, people are responding there. But if you notice that they're responding there, but not on home pages, that means you got to work on being more compelling with your titles and thumbnails. That means you got to make sure that you're being extremely clear in your thumbnails and your titles and all that. That you're not cluttering up a bunch of stuff to where it's really hard to, identify, what's going on in your videos, all of those things. So by going into your traffic sources reports, that's just going to give you an idea of how people are responding on the different places. But at the end of the day, the message that I'm trying to share here is that in order to perform at a high level on YouTube, you got to learn how to get people to respond on YouTube. Now, don't get me wrong. On Reddit, you can drive tons and tons and tons of views on Reddit. Like if you share them in the right groups and things like that in an audience that's primed for it, then in that case, you can definitely flood a video with traffic from Reddit. However, the problem comes when it comes to like long-term sustainability and a majority of the videos that you publish performing well. So if you're just relying on Reddit for that, then in that case, you're kind of hit and miss over there. But if you can learn how to get people to respond here on YouTube, either all or most of the videos that you publish are going to do well. So because of that, just make sure that you're learning, what you need to learn, all those things that I just talked about here on YouTube. But in addition to that, to get your videos to perform well here as well. In addition to the things I'm talking about and getting people to click and, you know, going into your traffic sources, seeing your click-through rate there compared to the impressions and all that, you also have to make sure that you are looking in your audience retention reports and that you are slightly modifying things where need be in order to, you know, create that better experience for people that are watching your content. And you can see all of that reflected in your audience retention reports. Here's an awesome thing about YouTube is they give us all of this information about, you know, like, hey, this is how people are responding to what it is that you're doing. And all you have to do as a content creator is go in and look at that information, get familiar with how to interpret it. And you can, you know, you can watch tons of videos on, you know, my channel, other channels like mine. You can read blogs and all that stuff on how to interpret everything. But you know, dig into your data, learn how to interpret it, because it's just a reflection of how people are responding to what it is that you're doing. So you can see like, hey, you know, people aren't watching for that long, not clicking that much, or they're watching for a long period of time, but man, they're not clicking. So what does that mean? Well, that means that you should probably update your thumbnail and or title so that you can get people to click more, because when you do get people to click, they're coming in and they're really enjoying the video, right? So like when you start paying attention to your data and your analytics, then it starts, you know, highlighting some of these things. And some of these things you can fix, some of them, you know, you can't, and you'd have to do it with another video. But the idea is to just be aware of how people are responding so you can, you know, move through this experience, you know, a little bit more strategically. Demon Dro says, any tips on catching a trending topic with a lot of attention? What's the strategy? Using trends, right? Using trends. Go to Google Trends and make Google Trends your friend. So one thing that you can do, I don't know if you're, you know, doing most of this stuff on a computer or if you're doing most of it on a mobile device, but if you go into your settings, like in Google Chrome, for example, if you go into your Chrome settings, and I see up here, Learn Spanish World, I'm going to answer your question right here in just a second. But when you go into your Chrome settings, you can actually set it to where it will open up, not just to where it'll open up Google, but to where it'll open up very specific pages when you open up your browser. If you're a channel that's going to, you know, be trying to ride trends, make sure that Google Trends is one of those things that you have ready when people are, or when you open up your browser, right? So then that way you're like, hey, these are the things that are trending in the world right now. Is there anything here that's going to be relevant to my content? Yes or no? In addition to that, you can also look on like YouTube, the trending pages of YouTube. So you can see like content that's popping right now as well, to see if there's anything that you can do there to also kind of fit into what's going on there, make complimentary videos and things like that. So that's the idea. But at the end of the day, you got to be paying attention through, you know, those types of tools in terms of, you know, trends and things like that in order to notice the trends as they're happening. But in addition to that, like, you know, depending, like if you're somebody that talks about like pop culture, like some of that stuff, you can't even escape it because it's trending so hard, right? Like the Johnny Depp thing, for example, I don't care about, you know, his trial. I don't even know what, you know, really went on there, but you know, like that whole thing, like was talked about so much. If you're on Twitter, you're going to see it. If you're on Reddit, you're going to probably run across it. If you're on YouTube, there's a good chance that you're going to get presented that stuff somewhere. So like, you know, if you're making that type of content, it's relatively easy. But if you're doing other things, then in that case, you know, it can be a little bit more challenging. So here, Learn Spanish World. Let me scroll up here and get this. There we go. Okay, Learn Spanish World. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Says, I got 60,000, but I'm not growing fast as my competition because I don't show my face. I bought a A7S3. Nice. I got one of those recently too. Sweet camera. Plus gear, but can't get the courage. I feel my channel is being left behind. Any suggestion? So this is a real thing. So when it comes to YouTube, it's scary. Like I'm just call it what it is. It's scary putting yourself out there, and it's scary because this probably isn't what you want to hear. But like when you start putting yourself out there, there's going to be people that have everything to say about everything about you. People are going to talk about how you say things. People are going to talk about what you look like. They're going to talk about what your, you know, set looks like. Or even if you're somebody that's out in the world and you're walking around, they're going to talk about like the areas, you know, that you're walking around and showing stuff. Like people just have all kinds of horrible things to say because of the anonymous nature of the internet. So you're going to deal with that stuff. So what you have to do over time is inside of your YouTube settings, there's something called a blocked words list. And in that blocked words list, if there's anything that you're insecure about, anything that you're like, man, I really hope people don't bring up this, then in that case, you can add it to the blocked words list. And by adding it to the blocked words list, when people say those types of things in your comments, then YouTube is going to auto hold those comments. And you're not even going to see them unless you actually go look for them. So because of that, I really recommend that you go through and you fill out that blocked words list with all of the different things that somebody might say that you're thinking of now. They'll get through and they'll say other things too, but all those things that you're thinking about, just make sure that you are, make sure that you add those to your blocked words list. So as people say them, they'll get caught there. Now, in addition to that, the next thing that I want to share with you here is that you've put the investment into the A7S III, right? That's not a cheap camera. So like the image quality of that camera, it's going to help you like look great in terms of your audio, because you said you got the gear as well, the other stuff. So in terms of your audio, you're going to sound great. And really with that particular camera, you can set it up pretty much anywhere. And, it's going to make everything, depending on the lens, of course, it's going to make everything, like look nice and, and all that stuff behind you. So like you're going to be presented well, right? So because of that, like what I would do is I would just set up the block words list and all of that. And then I would just experiment like, hey, you know what? I'm going to put up this video and I can take it down at any time. If I put out this video and for whatever reason, people, start responding to it in a way that I'm not comfortable with, which I'm telling you right now, there's a really good chance that it's not even going to happen, that where people are going to see that video, nobody's even going to think anything bad. Nobody's going to think anything, they're not even going to say anything bad in the comments, anything like that. But if they do, then in that particular case, you want to, you do have the option where you can just take that video down. So one thing that I recommend you do, excuse me.
If you're enjoying the show, remember to give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend right now.
One thing that I recommend you do is, like I said before, make sure you fill out your blocked words list and give it a shot. Because you might find like once you actually record the content, you're there, you edit the video, by the time the video is finished to where you get it to the point to where you're like, okay, yeah, I'm comfortable enough to get this up onto YouTube, to where, at that moment in time when you upload it, it's not going to be as bad as you think. The very first video that I have on my YouTube channel, and you can actually go to my videos page right now, sort by the oldest videos, and you're going to see my very first video is about how to overcome camera shyness. And the reason that I made that video is because I also was like you. I'm like, you know what? I'm going into YouTube. I'm not 18 years old. I'm not 20 years old. I'm coming onto YouTube. I'm outside of that demographic that I, at the time, thought YouTube is for, but now I know better. But, at that time I was like, I'm not in that demographic. So people are going to say stuff about that, like I shaved my head. So I'm sure I'm going to get all kinds of feedback about that. I just had all these weird like insecurities about being on camera. So I made that particular video to share. Like these are all the kind of mental exercises and all the mental things that I had to overcome in order to, get myself on camera. So that's why I made that video, to share that, with others. So I really recommend that you go and you watch that video as well, for the sake of just seeing that. But one of the things that is really important in there that I'll just share with you now is that often when it comes to things like this, the dialogue that we have in our own heads is way worse than anything that's going to happen when you start, publishing your videos, when you start being on camera. So, because of that, just kind of, understand that you probably have this built up in your head a lot worse than it's actually going to be when you publish. When you publish, then you'll probably, because you got 60,000 subscribers already, you'll probably get a lot of amazing comments where people are like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see that, this is you, right? So, so because of that, I really just recommend that you pick a video, put yourself on camera, upload it. And again, you can take it down at any time and just kind of see how people respond to it and see how you feel about it once it's actually up there, once you start getting that interaction as well. And I also recommend that you go over and you watch that first video that I have on my YouTube channel about overcoming camera shyness. Because I can tell you this too, like that was the defining thing on me even starting this YouTube channel. And if I didn't, man, I would have missed out in a major way. So, I just really encourage you to give it a shot, because, often, with great risk comes great reward. So because of that, I really encourage you to give it a shot. Okay. So next up on our list here, A+ Russian. What's up? Hope you're doing awesome. I'm going to scroll down here to the bottom. So Chocolate Man in Thailand says that, do tags still matter on YouTube? So according to YouTube, they are pretty much like the least important thing. So as long as you're talking about tags and not hashtags, when it comes to tags on YouTube, they're like the least important thing. However, I still recommend that people use the box, because the box is still there. When they become not important anymore, that box will be gone. Like when it doesn't matter anymore, they'll remove that box. So, so because of that,
If you're enjoying the show, remember to give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend right now.
Yeah, this coughing thing I'm having right now. That's why I didn't stream. That's why I didn't stream last week. So, so with the tags, boxes there, fill it out. Make sure that the tags are relevant to the content, but don't like spend a lot of time on it. Use like TubeBuddy. Go in there, just hit the tags that apply to the, to the topic of the video and let it ride. All right. So next up on our list here, you know what? I am going to step away for a second, take a drink of water, and just kind of like move my position here. In the meantime, I'm just going to show you guys a quick video. This is for those of you that hang out here on a regular basis, you've seen this before, but anybody new, this particular video, Brian G. Johnson and I put this together. It's just a fun little thing that we did. Is like a diss track for Daniel Batal. So Daniel Batal, he made a diss track on Brian, and then this was kind of like the response that we did. It's all fun. We're all friends. It was just like a fun thing, YouTube thing to do. So we did it. But here's that while I'm grabbing water. I'll be back here in about 30 seconds or so.
Check, 1, 2. I'm B to the G, it's easy to see what you need, it's attention from me. I'll give you the shout, get back on the grind and you'll be down for the count, trying to breathe. Your favorite is me, now you hate with the diss. All of that hair hanging there like a chick, man, give me a break. You're standing too close to the camera like Nick. Here's the claim that you say, Filmora is hate. Call me a thief for the titles you hate. I taught you the rank, you seem to forget it. I hit it and quit it, and you try to walk in my wake. I'm tossing you weight, giving you shine, giving you clout by doing this with my time. And what I'm about, Ryan, you guide, you come from my console, but now you're denied. You wanna throw shade. It's too late, I already got it made. You wanna bring hate. Hit the road, hater, cause I'm not phased.
If you're messing with G, you're messing with me. The name is Nick and I'll bend in a knee. Disturbing the peace, I'll come back into battle and murder a beat. I heard you eat worms like a bird, like a tree. Just like these words of defeat. I think Beanie should draw you and make you a T. They're waiting on me, who's waiting on you? If it wasn't for John.
All right, so we are back and trying to hold it together. So let's keep on trucking here. So let's see here. Better Mind Journey. Thank you for the super chat. Says hope you feel better soon. Thank you for still showing up. I'm actually feeling great. In comparison, it's just this kind of lingering. I've got like a couple of lingering things, and I hope they don't last long. But there's a couple lingering things that I'm still dealing with. But overall, I'm feeling like last weekend I was at 12%. This weekend I'm 1,000%. Like I feel so much better. So so it is all good. That is not up on Creator Mix. No. So let's see here. So let's keep on going through here. So we got the math one taken care of. So Ferris Publishing Company says that they have been on YouTube or been making videos for less than 1 month. So welcome to YouTube. And the type of channel is tiny homemade kitchen content. And the goal of the channel is to show creativity. And the question is, Ferris is my last name. Ferris Publishing Company is my licensed business. Is the channel title too long? I don't think so. The idea with channel names is all you got to do is think about if, let's say two people are hanging out at a coffee shop. While they're hanging out at that coffee shop, if one person is like, hey man, there's this great YouTube channel you got to check out. And the other person says, oh, really? What is it? What do they do? What's it about? That they can easily describe what your channel is about, and they can easily remember your channel name, so they can tell that person to go find it, or they can search for it themselves. I was at Starbucks today hanging out with my brother D, and he was showing me some guy's studio tour that he put together, and he was like, oh man, what was the guy's name? Landon, something was the guy's name. So basically he pulled it up, bam, nailed it, and we were able to have that discussion. I subscribed to the person's channel. That's how that's part of how this whole thing's works. So you want to make sure whole thing works. So you want to make sure that your YouTube channel name is as easy as possible to remember. For example, A+ Russian, super easy to remember. So thank you for the super chat. It says, Nick, first stream since I hit 1,000 subscribers. High five, fist bump to you for hitting 1,000 subscribers. Says, how do I get to 4,000 hours watch time without increasing the length of my videos? Thanks, and I hope that you feel better. Okay, let's get into the nitty gritty. You guys want to get into the nitty gritty? Let's get into it. Brian G. Johnson in the house. What's up, dude? Brian G. Johnson says, I hear the beach. I come running. You hear the beat, I come running, or the beach, either or. He hears the waves, he comes running. Brian G. Johnson, by the way, y'all, is the author of Tube Ritual Volume 1. I got a link to this down in the description below, or you can just hop over to Amazon and check it out. Great book, teaches you how to take your YouTube channel from 0 to 5,000 YouTube subscribers. Teaches you really all the best practices, all the stuff that you got to know to really thrive on YouTube in general. So you can check that out down in the description. But when it comes to the 4,000 hours of watch time, so of course, learning how to keep your viewers watching for a longer period of time is always a win. In addition to that, making sure that you're making it really easy for people to find more of your content. So this gets messed up a lot. So a lot of people know this, but when it comes to practicing, and I know this because we were having a conversation in our members stream yesterday, and during that conversation, one of the channels, or actually the channel that we were looking at during that stream, they know because they've been in the live stream, a lot. We always talk about this when it comes up in the streams, but they're focused on making really good content and things like that. So because of it, just sometimes the best practice stuff just kind of gets forgotten, and it's just a natural thing. It happens to all of us. So basically, when you are putting your videos together, you have to make sure that you're doing little details. For example, of course, for the people that make it to the end of your video, you got to make sure that at the end of your video that you're not telling them like, oh, in your case, because you're doing language, and that's how you say these things, or, that type of thing. Because then what you're doing is you're telling people that your video is complete, and then they'll leave. So what you got to make sure that you're doing is you want to get people to the end of your video, and then you want to set up the next video. So for example, in your case, it would be, so you're probably, oh, by the way, you probably are watching this video because you're trying to learn how to say these, phrases or whatever. Well, I got a whole playlist right here. You can go ahead and click into this right now about XYZ related to that video that they're watching there in terms of a logical next step. So you want to make sure that you're doing things like that so that people can more easily find more content on your channel. In addition to that, it's really important to also start thinking of your content in terms of not one video, but series of videos. So like I'm going to start leading people from this video to this video to this video to this video as they get published, and you start designing your content in that particular way. In addition to that, you start putting your content into playlists, you start driving people into those playlists from your community feed because you got it, because you have over 1,000 subscribers, driving people into playlists from your end screens, driving people into playlists from your end screens as well, especially in your case, because you are teaching people language. So since you're teaching people language, people are coming to learn. So if you're like, hey, you have a pinned comment that says, for more how to say more things in Russian or English, whatever, then in that case, learn how to say, more propositional phrases, whatever. Then in that case, click into this playlist here. And then by doing that, those people that are legitimately interested in learning, they're going to click into those playlists, and then you have all of those categorized for them. So it's super easy for them to just sit back and learn, right? Because that's what they're there for. So because of that, just making sure that you're making it super easy for people to find more of your content through using your end screens, using YouTube cards, and make sure you reserve those for the last 20% of your videos. That's what YouTube recommends. Making sure that you're pinning comments that lead to playlists as well. Make sure that you're using your community tab on a regular basis. One, to just interact with your community, but two, to also pull people back into the channel and into playlists to where they'll watch, more of your videos, and then you can start, collecting that watch time faster. So the idea is to just make sure that you're making it super easy for people to find your content, and that you're literally leading them into sets of content based on the relevance of the content that they're currently watching. In addition to that, because you're trying to get that 4,000 hours of watch time, right? So we're going to get into the details here. This isn't something that's going to make the channel blow up per se, but this is another thing that you can do to make it easy for people to find more of your content. So on your channel page as well. So instead of just setting up your channel page and thinking of it from the perspective of, okay, people come to my channel for these things, so I'm going to categorize my content in this way and just slap them on my channel page and they're just kind of there. Instead of thinking of it in that way, start thinking it from the perspective of, Okay, in my analytics right now, over the last, 28 days, the videos that have driven my channel in terms of the majority of the viewership on my channel are mostly about these particular things. So it's either, like a few videos that are popping, or it's a bunch of different videos. And out of those different videos, you can start categorizing those together to where it's like, hey, people are coming in and, en masse to my YouTube channel. The stuff that's, mainly driving the channel is based around these types of topics. So because of that, I need to make sure that for those people that are coming in, because those are the videos that are thriving right now, I got to make sure that I structure my channel page in a way to where the people can, of course, find my most recent content at the very top. But underneath that, you start organizing things in a way based on the content that's driving the channel, so that the people that are going to click on your channel name and that are going to go to your channel page, as they're scrolling down that page, they can more quickly and easily find more of the content that they care about based on the relevance of the content that's currently driving the most viewership on the channel, right? So you want to make sure that you're doing those things as well. Let's see here. So as we keep on going, and let's see here. So they say that, hold on, that just kind of bounced by. Matt is like, yay. So let's see here. A Plus Russian said that they forgot about the, thanks for the reminder about playlist. I usually drive people to specific videos. Yeah, going the playlist thing, it just makes it easy for people to consume more. So when you are putting your playlist together, like for your end screens and stuff, don't put like every video that you have on the topic, but just think to yourself like, okay, based on the length of my videos and based on, how long people typically, watch my videos, things like that. Like if I put like 3 videos in my playlist, if my videos are 5 minutes long, most people have like 15 minutes that, if they're trying to learn something, that they'll spend it watching those videos. If your videos are 30 minutes long, totally different story. Then in that case, that playlist might have like 2 videos in it instead of those 3, or in that case, you might just want to, keep just linking to one video just based on the expectation of the time the viewer is going to spend on watching some of your content as well. See here, Varuna, what's up? Hope you're doing awesome. Croco Kyle says, what's the best way to get views, impressions on live streams and shorts? Some shorts I make don't get many views, but the retention is 120%. Nice. So if they don't get many views and the retention is 120%, then in that particular case, I guess the other side of that is lower in terms of, people just kind of skipping past it before it starts actually counting as a view. So that can be a thing also when it comes to YouTube Shorts. But in terms of getting more impressions, more views, all that stuff on live streams and shorts, it really comes down to, how people are responding to it. So basically how YouTube works, just as a rule in general, is the higher response you get to your content in terms of people clicking on it, people watching, in terms of view duration, people sharing it, people giving it thumbs up, people commenting on it, people adding it to playlists, just overall engagement, people subscribing to the channel. That overall engagement is detected by YouTube, and all the content that has the most engagement on it, that's the stuff that gets shown to a lot more people. And when you don't have as much engagement on it at any of those things, right? If you have fail points in any of those, then, those videos end up not getting in front of as many people. So because of that, you just have to make sure that, that you are trying to encourage people to, have that engagement, or that the content itself warrants that engagement because, it's good enough, so to speak, to generate that engagement. Now, when it comes to the live stream, same exact thing. So one thing you'll see me do on a regular basis, and I do it for 2 reasons. One reason is just because I want the feedback. Another reason is because it's engagement, is, I'll say things, hey, like this video. I'll say, hey, if that's you, let me know. So for example, if you want to get more engagement on your videos, just say me. And hopefully you guys will say me here. But like, if you say me, then, then right there, every single person that says me, that's just a little spike in engagement here during this live stream, which could cause this live stream to get more impressions as long as people are clicking on it, as long as my average view duration when people are coming into these streams is, competitive for what's going on YouTube right now in this moment in time as we're live streaming. Okay, so we got some me's in here. Thanks for the support. I'm like, man, I hope we get some me's in here, because if not, then Okay, so as we keep on trucking here, the gaming shelf says, you have any tips for doing sponsored videos? I've been getting more offers lately, but when I do them, I always lose subscribers and get negative comments. It's part of the thing. So here's something that's really important. And I was actually having a conversation on Reddit not too long ago, and the people just couldn't understand this. But basically, when you are publishing your content to your YouTube channel, it's important to make sure that you give every piece of content a purpose, right? So some of your content is the purpose is going to be like, hey, when I publish videos around these types of things, like they typically get a lot more views on them. Other content might be for the purpose of, of that. Like, hey, I'm going to use this piece of content or these many pieces of content on my schedule to, to work, in collaboration with sponsors so that I can, create that revenue source for, for the channel. And so that I can bring that awareness to, tools and resources and all that good stuff that the community can use. So by doing that, what you do is you identify right out of the gate. Okay, I know that, these videos, I'm going to get some people that are going to unsubscribe. I'm going to get some people that are going to be negative about it, things like that. But just understand it and say the purpose of this video isn't to necessarily, grow the channel. I mean, of course, you want all of your content to grow your channel, sort of. But it's like, hey, the purpose of this isn't necessarily to grow the channel is the number one priority. The number one priority here is to add that additional, revenue source. Now, of course, the golden thing to do is to find ways to incorporate, those sponsorships into your content to where it's not intrusive, at least not as intrusive. So a really good example of how to do this is if you look at Ryan George. He's a comedy channel and he does like skits. And one of the things that he does is he's made a segment at the very end of his live stream. So, or not his streams, but his videos. So the video will start and he'll be like, hey, this stream is sponsored by Camtasia, right? And then he'll say more about them later in the video. And you've probably seen that, some of my videos. And then basically he won't say anything else about that sponsor. He'll do his whole bit, but then he has, and this is so clever, like the level of comedic, skill here is like off the charts in my opinion. But basically he has like a whole segment that he does and it's called the Adstronaut, right? So instead of an astronaut, it's an Adstronaut. So basically right after his skit is finished, then what he'll do is he'll be like, oh, hey, look, I'm an Adstronaut floating in ad space. Epic, right? But he's like, hey, I'm an Adstronaut floating in ad space. And then he'll start talking about the sponsor before the video closes down. So basically he's done it in a way that makes you want to, because he's funny and he's hilarious. And the way that he's put the whole thing together is genius. So when you get to the end of his videos, you want to watch his sponsor message because it's so clever and how he puts it all together. So, when you are, thinking about how you're going to work with sponsors, you can also do that sort of thing as well. So my version is I try to throw them in the front of the video because that's where most of the viewership is. And I just want to, make sure I'm bringing as much value to the sponsors as I possibly can. So because of that, I just make sure that I put it right up there in the front of the video. So then that way you guys see it, you get introduced to, the new tool or service or whatever it is that I'm bringing attention to. And then the sponsor of that video, they also get that higher viewership during that moment in time and people can skip it if they want to. So I do it that intrusive way, but there's also other things you can do to where it's an entire sponsored video. Now, an entire sponsored video is where you make the entire video about the thing, or you use that thing as the hero of your video. So for example, if you're like a vlogger or something, or whatever type of content you make, if you have your video, you're telling your story, and then you run into a situation, so to speak, to where you have this problem, and then that thing that that is sponsored ends up being the solution for that problem that you have. So in some types of content, that sort of thing fits as well. So it really comes down to figuring out what's the best for your community. But at the end of the day, and this mostly comes down to your demographic of the people that are watching your content. But when you are, when you're publishing videos and you have people being negative in your comments about the sponsorship message, like they can just not watch your videos, right? Because if they don't understand that you as a content creator, like one of the things that will help you be a content creator for a long time is learning how to generate income from your YouTube channel. And one of the ways that you do that is through sponsorship. And if they don't understand that, then that's fine. They can go watch somebody, in my opinion, then they can go watch somebody else. If they're gonna unsubscribe and be negative about the content because of that, then, in my opinion, then they can go watch somebody else, so to speak. So let's see here. So as we keep on going down this list here, we got the Coco Kyle taken care of. Let's keep on going here. Shark Scrapper. Thanks, man. Says, is there an optimal number of videos to have in a playlist? Can you have too many? So it depends on how you're setting things up. So for example, I have one playlist on my channel that is, there's probably like over 100 videos on it, but it's basically, you know, Nick's most recent videos. And I'll probably actually retire that particular playlist and do a new one sometime here soon. But that particular playlist, I've been just stacking videos in there because I have that customized playlist at the top, but it just keeps on, you know, getting videos put in there. In terms of the ideal length, what you want to think about is you want to think about, okay, how long are my videos? And if people are going to sit there and watch through, you know, my videos, like how many, you know, would I really expect somebody to watch? So, you know, if you make 10-minute videos, do you really expect somebody to sit on your video for 6 hours or on that playlist for 6 hours and watch all those videos? Some people bookmark it and come back. That's without question, that can happen too. But like, you know, do you really expect people to watch, you know, 6 hours of the content? In some cases, yeah, that, you know, yeah, sure. You know, in other cases, like absolutely not. So because of that, just thinking like, okay, with my type of content, you know, with typically, you know, based on my returning viewers and all that stuff that I can see in my analytics, like how much content do people usually consume on my channel? And by knowing that, you can start thinking like, hey, you know, maybe 3 videos, maybe 5 videos, you know, for a playlist, if you're doing, you know, 5 to 10 minute videos. If you're doing, you know, 20-minute videos, then in that case, you know, thinking of it from that same perspective, like maybe 3 videos, because then that means somebody will need to commit to like an hour for the content. And just thinking of it from that perspective, like how long do I really expect people to watch, you know, this particular playlist? And keep in mind, you can make as many playlists as you want. So you can have long playlists to where, you know, people can go in like, hey, these are all of my videos on, you know, these particular scrapping things. And then you can have it, you know, broken down into subsections, and then you can be, the main thing I'm trying to express is for like end screens and the things that you're linking to in terms of your pinned comments and stuff like that. You don't want to necessarily link to a playlist that's got 100 videos in it from your end screen. You want to link to something to where people are going to have a likelihood of completing like a, you know, a handful of videos once they get over there. That's the idea when it comes to your, to the videos in your playlists. So you use them for different reasons, right? In different ways. So if you're linking to it from pinned comment, from a card, from a end screen, then in that case, you know, fewer videos. If you're using it as a way to categorize a certain, you know, bucket of your content, then in that case, you know, then, you know, a lot more videos can be in there, and people know that if they click into that playlist, like from your channel page or from your playlist page, that everything in there is relevant to that particular topic, which is the thing that they're interested in. So you can use it in that way too. All right. So next up on our list here, we've got waiting for the response to load. Tick tock. Okay, so let's see here. Stormy Sky Rail Productions. They do daily content. They've been on YouTube for a year or more. They do trains and weather content. The goal of the channel is to have fun and eventually make some money. Question: what's the #1 thing that we could do to increase public watch hours? Also, is it beneficial to go back to old videos and update tags, descriptions, and such? Thanks. So great question. So we talked about the watch hours already just a few minutes ago, so I'm going to skip that one, because if your question was in here and you're still here, then you would have been here for that. In terms of the beneficial to go back to old videos and update tags, descriptions, and such, it can be. So if you find out that, you know, like the audience retention's good, you know, things like that in the videos, in terms of like, hey, people, you know, enjoyed this video when they went into it, but I just wasn't very good at getting people to click at that time, but I've learned a ton since then in that case, you can absolutely go through and, you know, refresh your thumbnail, refresh your title, refresh your description if you want to, so that you can, you know, try to give that video legs, so to speak. Level that up a little bit by making that change, and then within one of your recent videos that you're going to publish, if you have something that you're really trying to get attention to, then in that case, you know, you update everything, and then after you update it all, then you make a video to where you actually hand off to that video to also give it like a little bit of surge of, you know, like user data as well. So then hopefully YouTube will show it to more people as well, based on how those people respond to it when you're linking to it from your end screen and so on. Let's see here. I agree. Empire Nation says smash that like button. Absolutely. Tina Tremblay Embroidery Sewing says, I just got a milestone from TubeBuddy for uploading 60 videos. Congratulations on your 60th video. Nice work, Tina. So let's see here. Next up on our list, I'm going to refresh this here, make sure I didn't miss anything while I'm letting this load. Okay, make some money to do number 1 time. Okay, so we got that taken care of. Next. See here. Next up, we've got, and I apologize if I messed this up. Abdullah Wahid Safaru, I think might be how you say that. I probably just did a horrible version of that, so I apologize. You do tech content. Goal is to help people enjoy and use tech, software, or hardware efficiently with entertainment. Question: aside from thumbnails and titles, what's the best way to grow long-term content? So, of course, you're in tech. So it can be beneficial to focus on a particular type of tech, mobile tech, smart home tech, those types of things, camera tech, that. So that's advantageous. In addition to that, your content itself, right? Content itself is going to be the thing. So if you're already nailing your thumbnails and titles, the next thing is like, okay, what happens after people click, right? So learning how to make your content better, and also learning how to, one of the things we're talking about earlier is handing off for the extra watch time for people trying to get that 4,000 hours. But that applies to all of us. Like at the end of all of my videos, I do the same thing. I'm like, hey, watch this video next, because that, will cause you, if the video is something you're interested in, that'll cause you to click on that video, go and enjoy that video. And then depending on what's at the end of that video, you might watch another one and so on. So the same exact thing applies here, to where you also want to make sure that you're doing those types of things. And another win with that is, one of the things that YouTube says is that when somebody goes deeper into your channel or into YouTube from your video, the originating video, which is that first video that they watch on your channel that sends them deeper, is more likely to get recommended elsewhere on YouTube. So because of that, you're doing these things not just to, make it easy for people to find your content, not just so that you can get, an extra view on the video, things like that, not just so you can hit that 4,000 hours of watch time requirements, but by doing these things that we're talking about here today in terms of, making it easier for people to find more of your content. By doing these things, you're also going to help YouTube show your content to more people, as long as you can create that experience through your video content that will get people to the end and then cause them to click at a high rate on your end screens as well, and then watch those other videos that you're recommending as well. So, that's where that whole, reasoning or the why behind that information. Next on our list, we've got Reef Plays Games, 1 time or more. Anime gaming content. The goal of the channel is to build a large community and make YouTube a career. Question: would you say titling your videos in a more clickbaity way is more important than trying to use certain words to rank in search? Without question. But keep in mind, search does have its place. Like you can do great in YouTube search, but if you want those spikes of traffic, like, volume, quick volume comes from search too, but quick volume, like in terms of, if you publish a video on anime, like right now, if that thing doesn't do well in the recommendation features, then in that case, if you're only dependent on search for that video, as long as it does well in search, then in that case, you'll accumulate, views over time. However, if you are really good at getting people to click from homepage and suggested videos, the amount of traffic that you can pull from YouTube search over the course of the next, week or the next 30 days, you can get that in, the next, 10 hours or 24 hours, or depending on the topic itself, the next hour, from home pages and from suggested videos. So just keep that in mind. And you also want to make sure that, with the type of content you have, because you're doing anime and gaming. So if you're doing help content as part of your gaming, then in that case, it's like, hey, I'm showing you how to, where all the loot is in this particular game or something like that. And you're making that type of help content to help people better play the game. Then in that case, targeting some of that content for search is a win. But then if you're doing like a let's play, you're doing like a montage of some sort or something like that, then in that case, you might want to target that one more for, and by target, what I mean is that you want to optimize your thumbnail and title in a way and make the video about a topic that's more appropriate for recommendation features, homepage and suggested videos and subscription feed, compared to YouTube search. So that's the idea behind that thinking. Kamikaze, thank you for the super chat. Says, what should I do when a popular channel in my niche does a video I had an idea for prior to them uploading? Is it still worth it to follow through? Absolutely. So one thing you're going to see in my type of content is like, there's a lot of videos that we all make the same video for and that we all compete for in terms of, like certain search positions and things like that. And it's just, part of the thing. You'll see that across a bunch of different types of channels. In fact, there's even content creators like Mr. Beast who makes original content to where,
if you're enjoying the show, remember to give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend right now.
to where there's channels that will see what he does and then they'll just try to replicate it and they'll do okay. Like they won't do as good as him, but they'll get like tons of views by, doing similar things. So that's really common here on YouTube. Keep in mind, people will copy your titles. They're going to copy your topics. They're going to copy your thumbnail style. They're going to copy your editing style. They're going to copy, how you put your content together. They'll copy, elements of your set design, all that stuff, but they can't copy you. So just make sure that, that you always remember that when you're putting your content together. Doesn't matter how much somebody copies, they can never copy the you and the way that you think about it and the way that you do what it is that you do. And by the time somebody else is copying what it is that you're doing here, you're already here. So, because of that, like, don't even worry about it. Just make a better version. Make a better version or try to make a better version. Let's see here really quick. Edwin Vasquez, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Mr. Camera Junkie, welcome to stream, dude. Hope that you are doing fantastic. Hey, thank you. Yeah, I'm doing way better. As you can tell through my cough, I got some lingering stuff I'm dealing with, but overall, gajillions. Yeah, I went from 1,000% to a gajillion. You see that? It hasn't even been an hour yet, I don't think, and I've already went from 1,000% to a gajillion percent. So like I'm getting better like really quick. It's just the lingering cough and a little bit of lingering fatigue. Besides that, rocking. Feel great. Jeremy Murrah, what's up? Hope you're doing awesome. Welcome to the stream. So next question that we have here on our list today is from Absolutely Random, and they upload when they have time. The type of channel is random, mostly gaming content. The goal of the channel is to make money in the future and to make an impact. So we've had a few things here about making money on YouTube. So really quick, just as a quick reminder, in case you weren't here when I mentioned it before, if you are in the YouTube Partner Program, one of the things that YouTube just put out recently is they put out the option to add super thanks to where people can donate to your channel right here on YouTube. It works just like a super chat, but it's a different button. And when they click on that button, they can donate to your YouTube channel. To turn that on, all you have to do in your YouTube studio is go into your settings, go into your creator studio, go into your monetization settings. There's going to be tabs going across the top. Click on supers, and then over on the far right hand side, you're going to see a little slider to turn on super thanks. So if you are in the YouTube Partner Program, make sure that you go ahead and get that turned on. Nick doesn't understand numbers, Nimin. Oh, nice. Love it, love it, love it. What's up, D? Hope you're doing awesome. It was great hanging out with you today. Let's see here. So next up on our list here, we've got Mike247 Tanner. They do daily content. The type of channel is gaming channel, variety stuff eventually. The goal of the channel is to make a career on YouTube, to make videos on what I love, which is playing games, and to give people a place to hang out. I've grown up watching YouTube videos, whether that's gameplay clips, funny moments, etc. Question. Hey, Nick, I got a question for you. I've been making content almost full time for 2 to 3 months. I started with YouTube Shorts on my gaming channel, making Battlefield clips to start with, and then the Minecraft Shorts, which have grown my channel to nearly 1,000 subscribers, which is awesome. Congratulations to you for that almost 1,000 subscribers. You'll hit it soon. So here's an advanced high five and fist bump to you. Started making longer content, more longer Battlefield content, gaming videos. Now I try to use all the right hashtags, titles. I'm working on my thumbnails. I'm still trying to work on that, but it still gets really low views, even with nearly 1,000 subs. I know that they want the shorts, and subs don't mean views, but what am I doing wrong? Plus the content I make on shorts, I like, but I don't want to be making it forever. Okay. I would modify the content that you're making in shorts if it's not something that you think that you want to do for a long period of time. The fact that you're already saying that it's not something you want to do for a long time says that it's probably not like you should make stuff that you like making. So because of that, I would try to find a different way to do shorts so that you can make more shorts that you like to make. So you look forward to making them. In addition to that, in terms of the videos not performing, as good as you would like them to, go into your YouTube analytics and you'll be able to see why. So if you look at the videos that have performed well on your channel, there's actually a compare tool inside of your YouTube analytics. So what you do is you select the video that performs well on the channel, and you can click on compare. And when you click on compare, you can select another video on your channel, which in this case would be one of the ones that are not as high performing. And then you would look and you can go and you can see like, hey, what's the click-through rate on this? What's the average view duration from this? Where are the views coming from in terms of, are they coming from home pages, recommendations in the suggested videos? Are they coming from search? Like, where are they coming from? And this starts to paint a picture on why some videos do better than others. And then it also starts to give you targets in terms of, okay, So all my videos that do well, they seem to have these specific metrics or metrics that are better than XYZ. And by doing that, that starts giving you targets in terms of like, okay, if my thumbnail isn't up to par by the time I reach this many impressions, I got to change it, right? If people aren't hitting my, this particular end screen and they're not converting at this end screen, compared to, the videos where they are, then in that case, I should update my end screen or at least make it a playlist and then have other videos in there, or not playlist, I'm sorry, for your end screen, maybe update the thumbnail of the video that's in the that particular end screen, or just completely change the video altogether. But the idea is to go in and understand your analytics so that you can get an understanding of what a positive response looks like compared to what a not positive response looks like with your content. Okay, Gamehouse Digital Time, thank you for the kind words. I absolutely will. Thank you. So here, next up, we've got ADLM Studio. It says they upload 1 time per week or more. They do education content. The goal, sorry, your request is turned on. I'm not sure if I do, So D sent me a message saying if I have the Oral Exciter turned on inside of my Rodecaster. I'm not sure, but I can let you know as soon as the stream is complete. But thank you, Chantel, for the message there saying if you're enjoying the tunes that Nick is playing in here in the background, you can get your free account over at creatormix.com. In addition to that, you can also stream like the music you hear in the background. You can stream this on Spotify. I've got links, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon. I've got links to all of that stuff down in the description below, or you can go straight to creatormix.com. There's also a little graphic right up here at the top of the screen too. Let's see here. So as we keep on going, we've got ADLM Studio. They do educational content. The goal is to train construction professionals to use BIM software. And the question is, I'm not sure what BIM software is. The question is, how do I get 1,000 subs and 4,000 hours of subscribers, or 4,000 hours of views? Watch time. So when it comes to getting the first 1,000 subscribers, you have to make sure that you're doing all of the things in terms of you making content that people respond to at a competitive level. You're making thumbnails and titles that people will click on at a competitive level. In addition to that, you're also making content that is very specific for a very specific group of people to teach them a very specific thing. So because of that, you also have to keep in mind that, in order to get into that particular audience, if there's only a certain market for that, for people that are into the BIM software, then in that case, that's kind of like your cap. So just keep that in mind as well. But basically, when it comes to converting people to subscribers, that comes out of the value that they're getting. It also comes down to calls to action, which means you just tell people or remind people to subscribe to your YouTube channel. And by the way, if you are watching this and you're not subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you want to learn, more about YouTube and growing your channel and all the different stuff related to YouTube, like we're talking about in this stream, I have an entire channel dedicated to that. So make sure you subscribe. But when it comes to getting the 4,000 hours, that comes to putting out enough content to where you collect that. It also comes down to putting out content that does get enough views to where each video you do end up gaining more watch time per effort in terms of per video that you put out. So just learning how to make the content better is going to be the things that get you through that threshold. Let's see here. Watchtower says, I typically hear that Let's Plays are dead and they should only be 5 to 10 minutes, yet I have friends that have gone from 500 to 13,000 subs off 1 hour long Let's Plays. What are your thoughts? So here's the thing. Anytime you hear something is dead on YouTube, you're gonna hear people say like, oh, YouTube's dead. Oh, YouTube removed the dislike button. It's dead. It's over for YouTube. YouTube changed their monetization policy. Oh, YouTube's dead. It's over for YouTube. Like, I've been on YouTube since 2014. Like, YouTube has been dead for years as YouTube continues to grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger and get, more penetration all over the world, in terms of all the different places that people are consuming YouTube. So, and all the different devices people are consuming YouTube on and all that stuff. So you're going to hear that along your YouTube journey like crazy. Oh, this is it. This is dead. This is too saturated, all that stuff. Don't listen to any of it, because what you got to do is, in your case, you have to figure out, okay, I've had friends that are proof that I can do an hour-long Let's Play and grow my channel from it. So in that case, you have proof through your friends that it's not dead. So because of that, you have to think to yourself, okay, if I'm going to do these hour-long Let's Plays, then what are my friends doing that I can also keep in mind when I'm doing my Let's Plays, because they're getting a really good response? What are other people that are making these long videos that are getting that response? What are they doing that are keeping people watching? So you have to make sure that you're, going through those exercises so you can try to implement some of those things into what it is that you're doing so that you can also do those. But when it comes to the length of your videos, when it comes to YouTube, I want you to just remember, everybody said, everybody, like the common thing here is that like, okay, attention spans are getting shorter and shorter and all this other stuff. I can tell you that when I wasn't feeling that great last weekend, I was like binge watching Netflix, right? I just laid on my sofa and I just watched hours and hours and hours of Netflix, and then I'd play games and watch more Netflix and so on. When I'm trying to learn something, I'll watch hours and hours and hours and hours of content trying to learn it. It doesn't matter if the video is 5 minutes or if it's an hour long, I'll sit there and watch it because I'm trying to learn that thing. When it comes to like Let's Plays, if you're entertaining, people will stick around. The whole thing about, attention spans, like sure, yeah, TikTok, YouTube shorts, short videos, they're quick, easy bites of information. And there's a time for that, right? Like some, content, like that's great because then you can, learn things quickly, or you can be entertained quickly or whatever, and move on. You can watch a bunch of videos at one time, keeps everything kind of fresh and keeps you moving and kind of engaged. However, long form content also does great. Like there's, lots of podcasts on YouTube that are really long that get crushed in views. You got friends that are getting a lot of views on their 1 hour long Let's Plays. This live stream that you're watching right now, it's, it's by the time it's said and done, it's going to be like 3 hours long, maybe even longer. And, we've had over 300 people in here pretty much the whole time. So, there's people that are coming and going, right? It goes like this, right? Like as people are coming in, other people are leaving and all that. But, like we've been able to maintain that. And there's been some people that have been in here. If you've been in here since this stream started, just say me. If you've been in here since this stream started. And the reason I want you to say me is because, you are going to be proof in terms of, people do watch content for a longer period of time. You just have to make sure that you're putting out content that will, that adds value to people to where they'll want to watch it for that longer period of time. So, we've got a few coming through. We've got actually a nice amount that are starting to come through now in terms of, the amount of people that have been here since this stream started today. And this is proof. You're seeing it on the screen right now in terms of attention spans, in terms of people watching content for a longer period of time. And so far, and we still got some time. So far, we've been live for 2 hours and 18 minutes. And all these people that you're seeing right here, a lot of them, and we've got, some other ones like Charles says that they missed the first like 10 minutes, but been here since then, things like that. But, like a lot of the people that are here have been watching it since the beginning, or they've been watching for an hour, things like that. And it's even more proof for you that long form content can absolutely, get people, involved, get people engaged, have people watch it. And when the stream's done, like there's going to be, like a few thousand, total views on this stream by the time, we actually shut it off and it becomes a piece of replay video content on YouTube. Even after that, there's going to be a decent amount of people that are going to come through and they're going to sit through this entire stream as well, just watching it on the replay. So, like long form content does do well on YouTube also. So all of the things about, certain video lengths and, certain types of content and all that stuff, like never listen to that stuff. What you have to do is experiment with yourself and think to yourself, like, okay, I make this type of content, I consume this type of content. So like, what do I like? Right? What do I like? What do I like to make? What type of community am I trying to build? Am I trying to build a community of people that are only going to pay attention for 3 minutes? Or am I trying to build a community of people that are going to pay attention for an hour? Right? And then you make the content that is suitable for what it is that you're trying to do. So hopefully that helped. That I know that felt a little bit ranty, but like the idea that I'm trying to express though, it just, things like that to where it's like, people are saying this and people are saying this, like all of that stuff, you gotta kind of weed through the weeds, so to speak. And you have to, like try the stuff so that you can make sure that, that you're giving yourself that shot, so to speak, regardless of, what other people think. So thank you for asking that question. Gave me a chance to like rant for a second. So somebody asked me here, I saw it in the stream. Here it is. It says, Nick, your setup looks so complicated and sick. Thank you. I appreciate that. Says you have a video on it. I have not done like a legit studio tour. I have like a quick like studio hacks video that I made, but I haven't done like a full blown studio tour yet. And really part of that is because of the bad response that I got on the studio hacks video. But basically I do not have a video on this, but the things that I'm using here, and I'll just give you a really quick tour here right now, just so you can just kind of see it real quick. But basically over on this side, switch to this, I've got this this machine right here. It's called an ATEM Mini Extreme. They have smaller versions as well, where you can hook up 4 cameras. This one you can hook up 8. But basically with this is what's doing the camera switching. So I'm using StreamYard to actually, push the stream, out to YouTube. That software is hosted in the cloud. That's what I use every week for that. And then this machine right here, I've got this camera, this camera, this camera, this camera, and then this camera here, and then this camera all attached to this. And I've got a couple more spots that I'll probably fill up later. But basically this will auto switch. So it has a piece of software that comes with it, and you can set it up to where you tell it to, you know, switch to this camera for a certain amount of time, switch to that camera for a certain amount of time, this one a certain amount of time. And by doing that, you create what's called a macro, and then you just hit play, and then you hit loop, and then it'll just keep, you know, switching through in the sequence that you pre-program. In addition to that, this particular device, it'll also record if I want to. So if I hit record on here right now, it'll actually start recording everything that we're, you know, talking about and all that. In addition to that, another thing that I use here, down here on the bottom, you can't see it as well, but down here on the bottom, this is called a Rodecaster Pro. And this is where I trigger my sound effects. This is where I have the mic coming through. This one here actually is the volume slider for the computer audio, where I have the creatormix.com music coming through there from Spotify. And then over on the left-hand side here, this is the actual, you know, microphone that you're hearing from me. And then I have a volume slider over here for the sound effects as well. So when I hit this, then that's where those sounds come from. And then from there, everything else is just the cameras. So this microphone is actually plugged into to the Rodecaster. So that's actually feeding the audio. And then the rest of it's just the cameras that I have set up that are just HDMI into this streaming device that I showed you before. So that's what the whole setup is. But it's, you know, it's cool. And it's like I just get into this stuff, and I like trying to, you know, like make things look cool and stuff. So I love the ATEM Mini Extreme. One problem that I had with it. Hey, what's up, Ian? Hope you're doing awesome, dude. Nice to see you in the chat today. So Ian says that he was thinking of getting an ATEM Mini, but he didn't think that he needed one when I use my live stream software for that. But I love the audio switching. Yeah, like with this, the only problem that I had with the ATEM Mini, or the only beef that I had with the ATEM machines, sometimes they have this glitch thing that goes on. And I know it's part of the connection and how, you know, the USBs are going through, but like it'll create this like glitch at times. And I've had this, my brother's had this, I've had it on different ATEM, you know, machines. And a lot of other people, if you look on the internet, have had this too, to where it basically kind of glitches out. And to get around it, I had to use a competitor product. I had to use a cam link. So I HDMI out of this box into the cam link, and then the cam link will actually, you know, just feed it through without any USB connections even needing to take place. So that's what's going on with the setup. I hope that was helpful. Chantel says, will Tuber Tools make some graphics for Super Thanks? Absolutely, we will. I was talking to my brother about that actually today when we met up. So absolutely, there'll be some of those on Tuber Tools. Demons Rose says, I meant when you already have the trendy subject, how to rank against the other multitude of videos. It comes down to response. I see smaller channels latch onto big topics and rank. How do you compete for that keyword? So it all comes down to response. So YouTube search, if you're trying to show up in search, YouTube search is just like all the other surfaces on the platform. So if you're on a homepage, or if you're on YouTube search, the same rules apply. And those rules are the videos that generate the most watch time per impression and the videos that drive the most engagement and create the highest viewer satisfaction as YouTube deems it, compared to the other content that's on the platform and the other content that's being interacted with at that moment in time. That's the content that ends up getting surfaced the most. So the more engagement you create, the longer you can keep people watching, the more you can keep people clicking compared to the amount of impressions that you're getting, the better your videos are going to perform. So if you see those smaller channels that are, you know, that are latching onto the big topics and they end up, you know, showing up there.
If you're enjoying the show, remember to give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend right now.
Then in that case, what's happening is their videos are just outperforming yours. And like, I hate to say that because it's like, but you know, in reality, that's what's going on. So basically what you need to do is look at how they're putting everything together and try to learn from those videos that are doing better than yours. You know, look at the colors they're using, look at the things that they're focusing on, look at the clarity in terms of, you know, are they cluttering it up with a bunch of stuff, or are they very specifically, you know, focusing you on one thing? Are they using specific words in the title to help the audience that they're trying to reach identify that it's something that they care, or that it's something related to them? Those sorts of things. Also, it comes down to the video content as well and the overall engagement. So for example, that is Mike Russell. Ian's like, Mike Russell, that is Mike Russell. Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to, you know, videos doing better than other videos on YouTube, it all comes down to performance. So, you know, so like if you look at your channel, if you look at my channel, look at any channel on YouTube, the videos that have the most views are the videos that people responded to at the highest rate, and or videos that just based on timing and things like that, you know, because the trending, or maybe if, you know, there was a content gap there and people didn't have, you know, any videos on that content, you're like the first one to make it, things like that can also influence that. But, you know, in general, your videos on your YouTube channel that do better, if you dig into your analytics and compare them against the ones that don't, you'll be able to see why. It becomes crystal clear in terms of this video did better because of these particular things. People responded in this way. And when it comes to your analytics, again, remember, they're just a reflection of how the humans that are interacting with YouTube are responding to the content. So you don't look at the numbers and be like, hey, this number, you know, is this. You look at those numbers and you start thinking, I wonder why they click on this one more. Right? So that's what you use that information for. I wonder why they clicked on this one more on a home page, but they didn't click on it much in suggested videos. At a small size, is my thumbnail really hard to, you know, see the detail of what's going on in there? Is that why they didn't click on it as much, you know, in suggested videos? My title, maybe my title's getting truncated or cut off in suggested videos. And because of that, the thing that would matter to the viewer is actually after that cutoff point. It's past that, you know, 50 or 52 characters. And because of that, you know, the person or the people that I'm trying to reach with that content, they can't clearly see that this is something that would matter to them. And therefore, that's why I think that it's not, you know, getting a good response there. So let me update some of that and see if I can also get the better response there as well. Those little, you know, details will give you tons of insight when you start, you know, digging into your analytics and you start trying to think through, you know, why would somebody respond better here compared to here? And when you're targeting search specifically, that's kind of like a low-hanging fruit, because like with search, people are looking for your content, so the game's a little bit different there. That's where you got to start thinking competitively, and you got to start thinking like, okay, here I'm competing for this term. So of course, you know, I also want traffic from, you know, recommendations, but in search, I'm competing for this term. So therefore, before I even make my video, I'm going to research that term or the other terms around it as well, and see if I can find other opportunities. This is where TubeBuddy really shines, is it helps you like identify some of those other opportunities. But you know, you start looking into it and you start like seeing like, okay, how are they packaging these videos in terms of, you know, the thumbnail and title? You know, when their videos first start, what are they doing? How are they grabbing attention for these top ranking videos? If I read through their comments, is there information that was left out of these videos that I can make sure that I'm highlighting in like my thumbnail, for example? Like, you know, if there's one point that everybody in the not everybody, but a lot of people in the comments are like, hey, but you didn't mention this. Hey, you forgot this. You didn't do this. Then in that case, you know, you could make something for that term. And then in the thumbnail, you could actually feature that thing that, you know, the other videos have left out, for example. So, you know, making sure that you do that research before you make the video can also help you compete better in YouTube search, because you can fill in some of those blanks, or you can make a better video than the people that do have those particular search results as well, based on, you know, being able to watch their content that's already there before you make your version of it. So that's the idea. Shelly saves the day. Welcome to the stream. Hope that you are doing fantastic. Nice to see you in here. Okay, so next up on our list, we've got, it's Boss Lady Jones. Says they upload 1 time per week or more. They've been on YouTube for less than a year. It's a lifestyle channel. The goal of the channel is monetization and growing a community. And the question says, hey, Nick, I like to consider myself a lifestyle content creator. My channel consists of vlogs. You know what? Sometimes I feel like I should do like impressions, like what I think based on how it's written and stuff like that, like what I think that, you know, that they would sound like. I'm not going to, but like that would just be funny, I think. Because in my head, I do it. I just don't do it, you know, where you guys hear it. But, you know, hey, Nick, I like to consider myself as a lifestyle content creator. My channel consists of vlogs, hauls, reviews, and cooking videos. I guess you can say I'm multi-passionate. Seems like a lot of creators suggest niching down, but with my type of content, I'm lost as to how to do so. Any advice? Thanks a million in advance. Absolutely. Here's the way that I want you to start thinking about this. Is first off, everybody is multi-passionate. Just as a quick, you know, show of proof here. If you are somebody that is passionate about multiple things, like you have multiple interests, you know, like you have your YouTube channel, you have, you know, maybe you like to go fishing, maybe you like to knit, maybe you like to, you know, do crafts, things like that. If you are interested in multiple things, let me know in the chat, just say me. And as you're doing that, one of the things that I want you to think about here, Boss Lady Jones, is that as a human, most people are multi-passionate, right? But when you're creating a YouTube channel and you're creating that YouTube channel for other people to consume the content, it's really important to make sure that you're considering that, you know, that you are trying to reach a very certain set of interests, right? And the reason that you want to do that, and the reason that people recommend that you niche down, and I'm going to talk about that here in a second too, in terms of, you know, defining niching down really. But when it comes to niching down, one of the things that you want to make sure that you're thinking about is that if somebody's coming in and they're watching a cooking video, that person that watches a cooking video, and this is all just based on how YouTube works in general, that person that's watching a cooking video, if you publish a vlog video, why would that person that's enjoyed that cooking video, that came in to like learn how to make, you know, a cookie, why would that person care about like a trip to, like your trip to the mall? Just as an example, right? And the person that watched that video about your trip to the mall, why would that person care about the review that you did? Well, your review's fine too. Why would that person care about your cooking videos, right? Because they like your vlog stuff. So the idea when it comes to niching down isn't necessarily, I mean, you are limiting your content in a way, but it's not necessarily, when you niche down, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to only make like one type of content. You're like, I can only make, you know, videos about my vlogs, right? Doesn't mean that at all. What niching down actually means is that you are clearly defining who it is that you're trying to reach with your content and the things that they are also interested in. And any video that you publish to your YouTube channel, you run it through the filter of, okay, for the people that I'm trying to reach based on the content that I typically put out, is this a good fit for somebody that just watched my cooking video? Yes or no? And if the answer is no, then in that case, then you don't put that video on your YouTube channel. If it's the same exact thing, if for the person that watched my vlog, for this haul video, for them, like, you know, would this be a good fit, you know, for them? If the answer is yes, then in that case, you know, make that video. If the answer is like, no, probably not, then you don't want to make that video. So the idea with this is to think about, okay, I'm trying to reach, you know, like, let's say, for example, since you're doing lifestyle content, let's say you're trying to reach people that are between the ages of like 18 and 25. Let's say that you're trying to reach, and I'm just going to say, because you have the name of Boss Lady, let's say that you're trying to reach, you know, primarily females. In addition to that, let's say that you're targeting, you know, mostly the United States or, you know, other English speaking countries, but because you're targeting United States as your primary, you got to make sure that you're publishing in certain, you know, like the right times, time zone wise and things like that. In addition to that, let's say that part of that the lifestyle people that you're trying to reach, because you are within that 18 to 25 range, let's say that you're not trying to reach people that have kids or families, or even, you know, that even are in relationships. Let's say you're trying to reach like single people that are, you know, just having a good time and they're just out enjoying life, you know, by themselves and with their friends more so than with the spouse and things like that. When you start getting clear on those types of things, then what you can start doing is you can say, okay, for this type of person, is this video a good fit for them? Yes or no? And then you can say, okay, if it's yes, then I'm going to publish that piece of content. So to put this into perspective, and this is an example I like to use here on my channel, because you're watching my content, right? So on my channel, I target YouTube or content creators, but specifically YouTube content creators. And I have different divisions of content within that. I have some like older mobile content. I'm going to be making more, but I have some older mobile content for the mobile content creators. I've got live streaming content, and I've got YouTube help content. Those are my core things. But in addition to that, I'll have other things that I do, and I'll have some rant videos that I put out. I'll do like some studio tour stuff and things like that. And even though that's not necessarily help content, or even though this video on like how to edit might not necessarily be like how to grow your YouTube channel, editing videos is still something that YouTube content creators need to learn how to do. So because of that, when I make a video about how to edit a video, that's still something that's a great fit for my target group that I'm trying to reach, which is content creators. So therefore that video is okay to put on my channel. So of course, over time, you'll learn that within the group that you're trying to reach, or the person that you're trying to reach, that they respond to certain things more than other things. And of course, you want to make sure that you're including those as part of the, you know, schedule of content that you're putting out, as part of your content strategy, for the technical term. So when you're doing that, you just have to make sure that you're understanding, I'm trying to reach this certain, you know, group of people. And because of that, I need to make sure that it doesn't matter what it is or what the format is. Cause like vlogs, for example, that's just like a style of content, right? But like the value that you add within that vlog still needs to be a good fit for that demographic that you're trying to reach, or for that audience that you're trying to reach. So like I was saying before, in my case, even though I'm going after YouTube content creators, technically I could put a skit on my YouTube channel. I could make a comedy skit on my YouTube channel, and people would look at that and they would think like, wait a minute, he's making like YouTube help videos. Why in the world would he put a comedy skit on his video? Well, the only way that I would put that comedy skit on my channel would be if it was some type of humor around YouTube that you as a YouTube content creator would resonate with. Then that video would be appropriate for my channel, even though the style or the format of that content is not necessarily, you know, within what I normally make. It's still targeted towards the people that I'm trying to reach, and therefore would add value through that type of content there, because it's still a good fit for the audience. So topically, it would need to be something about something that a content creator would resonate with. So that's the idea when it comes to niching down. It's not necessarily that it's a limitation. It's more that you have to get clear on who it is that you're trying to reach, so that you can make sure that as your time progresses here on YouTube, and really it applies everywhere, like all over the internet, like as your time progresses, you know, making content, that you can make sure that your channel as a whole becomes a resource for that certain type of content that you make. So for example, like when somebody watches one video on your YouTube channel, like I get loads of comments on my in my comment section where people will say, hey, I just found your channel. I've been binge watching for like 3 hours, right? Or, hey, I just found your channel. I've just watched like 10 videos. And the reason for that is because my channel it caters to content creators. So if you come into my channel from any video that I have on my YouTube channel, almost any video, I'm sure there's some outliers, but if you come into my channel from any video on my channel, there's a really good chance that if YouTube suggests something next to that video that's mine, there's a really good chance that that's going to be something that you're going to be able to get value from. If you click on my channel name and you go to my YouTube channel, there's a really good chance that you're going to find something else on my YouTube channel that you're like, oh, I never really thought about that. Let me click on that. Or, hey, yeah, I'm having that problem. Let me click on that and watch that video. And the value within that is it's turned my channel into a resource for content creators, to where wherever you're at in the journey, you can come in and you can learn a ton of stuff about YouTube, and it doesn't matter what video you watch. Now, where this gets really valuable is when people are interacting with your videos and YouTube sees that they're having a positive experience with your content, then YouTube is going to not only recommend some of your newer videos when you start publishing new content to them, but they're also like, let's say they watch a video that you made 6 months ago, and YouTube is like, hey, you know, this particular viewer, they watched that video and they watched another video on the channel. They're like into this. Let's say they subscribed while they were there. Then what's going to happen? Even if they didn't subscribe, let's say they gave it a thumbs up. Let's say they just watched them to the end, clicked on your end screens and watched, you know, 2 videos back to back, 3 videos back to back. What's going to happen is now YouTube's going to go into your back library, right? YouTube's going to go into your content archive, and YouTube's going to start picking out, right? Their system is going to start picking out content out of your YouTube channel that they think would also be a good fit for that viewer. Now, the approach that you're taking where it breaks down is, like I was saying before, if somebody comes in and they watch one of your haul videos, then if YouTube presents your cooking video to them, like the person that's watching the haul videos, they might not even cook, right? They might be, you know, they might be younger or something like that, to where, you know, like their parents are still cooking their food, or it might be, you know, to where they're eating out all the time. Yeah, I mean, like they might not even like really cook, you know, like good food. They might just be making sandwiches and stuff. So because of that, you know, you have to make sure that you're also thinking of it from the perspective of, okay, when YouTube identifies that somebody's enjoying my content, which is a win because they're enjoying your content, that's what you want, then you want to think of it from the perspective of, okay, out of my content library, out of all the content that I've made on my channel and the content that I plan to make, then when YouTube starts suggesting more of my content to them, the more that you can keep people coming back into your YouTube channel, the better your channel's going to do over time. But when you start putting out a bunch of variety stuff, what's going to happen is people aren't going to respond, because you're not going to have any clarity in terms of who your content's for, in terms of, you know, them bringing in the right people, in terms of people watching chains of your content and things like that. So what's going to end up happening is it's going to start creating this obstacle for you, to where it becomes just more difficult for people to be able to come in and binge watch your content and all that stuff. So you end up working against yourself in that way. Now, of course, the golden place on YouTube, and I've mentioned the golden thing a few times here in my brain for some reason, probably because that gold thing that I was showing you, D. But basically with the golden ticket here for YouTube is everybody wants, you know, everything to be about them, right? To where it's like, hey, I just want to be able to make whatever I want and people come in and they love it. However, for your subscribers, the people that are really into your content, your most dedicated core people, they'll come in and watch anything you make. But when you're trying to bring in new viewers and you're trying to create that overall great viewing experience for them, then everything breaks down when you have all of that variety content, because that new person doesn't know you yet. That new person hasn't watched enough of your content yet in order to get to know who you are and get familiar with you. And therefore you end up putting all this other content out that they don't like. And then therefore they're going to unsubscribe when it's presented to them, because they're gonna be like, I don't even remember subscribing to this channel. I don't even watch cooking videos. Why am I seeing this? And then they unsubscribe, or they just don't click on your content, and then that ends up hurting your click-through rate and all that good stuff as well. So because of that, I just recommend that you don't necessarily look at niching down as a limitation in content, because you can still be creative with how you present the content, and you can still express your multi-passionate self. However, you need to make sure that you're getting clear about who it is that you're trying to reach with your content, so that you can just run it through that filter of, is this a good fit for them? If not, then what can I do when I'm making this video in order to make it a good fit for them? So like, for example, if you're reaching that certain demographic, then if you're making cooking videos, if you're like, okay, well, in reality with this age range, this type of stuff they'd be cooking, blah, 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 then, maybe I can make, something that would be easy for them to make just based on, the people that you're reaching. Or if you're reaching older people, then in that case, you could get, you could make probably some good meals and, that kind of stuff, but you would still try to work it in to, the general theme, so to speak, of your YouTube channel. So that's the idea. And I hope that makes sense. Invisible America TV, love that. Says, I was dry this last week, now I'm energized. Thanks. That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. So next we got Driven Dad. Says, I create content about gig apps in a Tesla. The person I get the Tesla from suggests that I can interview him. Any suggestions on learning a format for doing interviews? Absolutely. So I would definitely look at popular podcasts on YouTube. I would look at, popular shows, just in terms of, TV or Netflix or whatever, where interviews are happening, and just try to just get a feel for, how they're interviewing people. Like one thing, in some cases, in some niches, they still do perform, but like one thing that is challenging is like where you're doing interviews, where it's like, if there's a person on the screen here, there's a person on the screen here, you're in two different locations and you're just like hopping on there and you're doing the interviews there. You can still get, views on those, but those, they can be just a little bit more challenging versus, sitting down and actually having the conversation somewhere and setting it up to where, just kind of looks like a conversation. Just because it feels different, right? But again, those, like interview via online, those can still get crushed in views. But I'm just saying, just keep in mind in terms of, depending on how you're wanting to present that. Because like in your case, like if you're reaching people that are, driving Teslas or they're interested in Teslas, there's a certain, demographic there as well. So because of that, if you can create something that feels like that quality, experience, then in that case, they might respond to it better. But, I got a friend of mine, he makes, content based around EVs in general. And he does some of those. I think the guy's like Sandy something is his name, that, anytime he does an interview with him, it's a virtual, interview when he does those. But anytime he does those, he just gets crushed in views, for those particular videos. But, when it comes to the formats, I would just research how other people are doing them, and I would just remember that when you are doing those interviews, that you can edit them as well. So if you're doing it live, then of course the live experience won't be edited, but if you are recording it on the back end, then in that case you can absolutely make your live private, and then you can edit it together to make it flow better if you do run into problems in terms of the interview process. So if you're interviewing somebody and the whole thing's a little bit messy and you're like, oh, I can't believe I asked that question, or I asked it the wrong way, or I tripped up, or whatever, there's this awkward these awkward moments of pause and all that, you can fix all that stuff in the edit. So just don't let that make you uncomfortable while you're doing the actual interview, because you can fix all that stuff once it's all finished. iFun Chris, thanks man, I appreciate that. Okay, so let's see here. Next up on the list. So Math Defined says, would I need some type of form signed before I post the video? I'm considering interviewing random people on the street and asking them math questions. So technically, like if you really wanted to be safe, you could do that. If you're making fun of people, I really recommend that you do that, because then, like by making fun, I mean, like Jay Leno and people like that, they'll do those videos to where it just kind of shows how much people don't know, and that can embarrass people. So, when you are embarrassing people, then, that can cause people to, try to take an action or try to take your video down, stuff like that. So in that case, yeah, you might want to do that. But I would look into the law side of that thing. Like when it comes to interviews, I personally, I've never had to like explore that with myself or anybody that I've worked with in the past about YouTube. So because of that, like on the interview side, I'm not 100% sure exactly what it is that you need. I don't know if you'd need a model release or anything like that with them if you do it in a public environment. But if you go to Ian Corzine, CORZINE.com, he's a social media lawyer. If you shoot him an email, I'm sure he'd be able to set up a call with you and get you legally taken care of to make sure that you have all the documentation that you need to make sure that you're fully protected, when you are doing those types of interviews. And, you also have that option as well. The Driven Dad, if you are, just wanting to make sure that, you get everything, above board and all that good stuff, and that you can freely use the content in any way and their likeness and all that good stuff, then in that case, getting all that stuff contractually is beneficial. But in a lot of cases, that stuff isn't needed. But it's, if you want to just cover all your bases, then in that case, you definitely want to consider doing that. Brown Owl Peace Lounge says, hey Nick, one of my videos says it has 139.9% retention. Does percentage over 100 simply mean subs are clicking more videos after watching that one? No, it means people are rewinding. So it means people are rewinding. Basically, they're rewinding parts of your video, and it's causing certain parts to spike. So they're rewinding, or they're rewinding and watching certain parts more than other parts. Let's see here. So as we keep on going down this list, let's see here. Okay. So as we keep on going, so yeah, we also had Jerry in here. Jerry's like, yeah, means that people are, rewatching the video. We have Albert Mia, the Adventure Bengal Cat, saying this means that your video is watched more than once by the average viewer. Yeah. So that, that's what those numbers mean. So next up on the list, we did Boss Lady Jones already. So next up, we've got Tarot with Ruby. Says they upload one time per week or more. They do tarot readings and chats. The goal of the channel is to provide insights into people's situations through the cards and help them with their own tarot readings. Question is, how can I convert sales to my reading services? I mention them in every video and link them at the top of all my descriptions, as well as show my abilities in my videos by doing free readings that people seem to love. So all you got to do is spread awareness and then make it easy for people to take the action. So for example, if you're sending people to your website first and you're not converting there. So for example, let's say that you're like, hey, if you want a reading, then, we can do a virtual reading. You can contact me through the link in the description. If that link goes to your website and they have to click on like a contact form, then you're creating a lot of clicks in order for people to book. So because of that, what you might want to do is you might want to use like Calendly or something like that has like PayPal integration, and just send them a link to that. So then it just sends them straight to the calendar to where they can just book exactly on the day, to where there's a lot less steps that they have to take in order to actually, book that thing with you. So when it comes to converting anything or selling anything online, the easier you can make it for people, the better off you're going to be. So the less clicks as possible, the easy, everything being easy to understand, making sure the things that you're trying to bring attention to, like when a page loads, for example, if you are sending people to your website, if you don't send them straight to a contact form, if you are sending people to your website and you don't want to do the contact form thing that I was talking about, then in that case, sending people to your website, and then just making sure right at the very top of your website, it's one of the things that the first thing they see and the most prominent thing on the page is that, book your reading here, so that it's crystal clear. Page loads. Okay, here's where I book it. They click that, and then that takes them to your scheduling. So that's the type of thing that you want to do. But, by spreading awareness, that's how you get sales, is by, letting people know that you have that thing available, and tell them, hey, contact me in the description. I would love to do a reading for you. Contact me in the description, or go to whatever your website is, .com, in order to do that. Natalie Heels, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Says, I want to say hi and thank you. My channel's a little stale from Google Ads mistake, and I'll take any help that I can get. You're the best, Nick. Thank you, Natalie. I appreciate that. Yeah, when it comes to, if you've run ads and, you've kind of improperly done that, and, it's caused, some issues for you, just keep in mind, one video can pull you out of that. So like I would just double down on, just understanding in terms of, when you're putting your thumbnails together, making sure that you're defining, like, what about this, would make somebody want to click? What about my title would make somebody want to click? What about these two things together, thumbnail and title, because they work as a team to win the click. So, what about these two things together? Define it. Why would somebody want to click? Don't ever just write a title and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna write this title because this is what the video is about. Always think, why would this be important to the people that I'm trying to reach? How would this help them identify this is something for them? How does this create curiosity for them? Why would this be compelling for the people that I'm trying to reach, and why would they click on it? Same exact thing for your thumbnails as well. Never just make a thumbnail and think like, oh, hey, this is good. Yeah, I got my picture on here and I've got, some words on it. Like think like, why would they click on that thumbnail because of those words that you have? Like, why are those words relevant to them? Why is the image that you're showing, like, how's that going to help them identify that your content's something they care about, and define all of these things. And when you're defining these things, it's going to help you be intentional about all aspects of everything it is that you're doing. And that intentionality is going to help you, reach the people that you're trying to reach a lot more easily. Let's see here. So as we keep on going, let's go ahead and pop in here for another question. We're at 10:51 now. Let's do a lightning round. So if you got a question, okay. So we're going to do a lightning round here in terms of, I'm just going to start crushing through some questions here in the chat. So what I want you to do is, if you have a question, this is especially for, if you, say you came in late, you didn't get a chance to put your question in the form. If you have a question, just put a Q in front of your question. That helps me identify that your question is for me. And by doing that, just put a Q, put your question, and I'm just going to start going through them. And on my view here, these are going to start with the ones under Doug's where it says lightning round. So here we go. In the meantime, as we get into this lightning round, let's do it.
If you're enjoying the show, remember to give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend right now.
Number one, great question. Nick, who would you consider a new YouTuber? Somebody that's just getting started. Like if you are just getting started and you're still trying to figure out like how to make good videos, you're still trying to figure out how to make, thumbnails that people respond to. If you're still trying to figure out, like how to use your analytics, things like that. And you're just starting, right? Like you're like, hey, I've been on YouTube for like a week. I've been on YouTube for like a month. Then, you're a new content creator. If you've been on YouTube for a while, like let's say you've been on YouTube for like a year, then, you're not a new content creator anymore. I mean, technically, if you plan to have like a 10-year career here, then you would still be new because you still got 9 years left. But if you're like, hey, I'm just getting started trying to do all this stuff, then I would say that that's new. But at the end of the day, like, you're a content creator. It doesn't matter. Like, on the platform and for the viewers that are watching, nobody cares. Like, nobody cares if you have, some like kids doing stuff, but like, when you're putting out good content, nobody cares how many subscribers you have. Nobody cares how long you've been on YouTube. All people care about is like, what's the value that I'm getting out of this video? Was this entertaining? Yes or no? Did I learn something here? Yes or no? Was I inspired here? Yes or no? Was this something that lifted me up? Yes or no? Did this help me solve this problem? Yes or no? That's all people care about. They don't care about how long you've been on YouTube. They don't care about how many subscribers you have. Most people, right? They don't care about, any of that stuff. What they care about is this something I'm interested in? Yes or no? Is this a good video? Am I enjoying this? Yes or no? Am I bored? Yes or no? Like, that's what people care about, right? So focus on those things, and instead of like even worrying about like, the labels of, being a new content creator. Bill Dubé, hey dude, I hope that you're doing fantastic. Nice to see you in here. Says, Nick, how to avoid burnout? Just in here. So first off, Bill, I'm not sure if you listen to audiobooks or not, if you read that much. But there's a book that I'm going through right now, actually on Apple Books here. It's called At Your Best. So with At Your Best, I'm doing a refresher on YouTube Formula too. So one thing really quick, just so you guys know, for those of you that are interested in Daryl Eves' book, so the hard copy's here. But he has the audio version now. You can get it on Audible. You can also get it, it's here on Apple Music as well. So basically it's available on all the audio places. So if you are somebody that's been waiting for that audio version, it's out now. Or if you just want the audio version so you can have the refresher or whatever, like I'm going through right now, then you can definitely do that. That one's here. But the other one is called At Your Best. This entire audiobook, the At Your Best one, the whole thing is about, burnout, dealing with burnout, avoiding burnout, all that good stuff, and how to come out of the backside, if you are burned out. But with anything, when you are, putting in a lot of work and a lot of effort and things like that, like burnout, can happen. So when it comes to avoiding burnout, just make sure that you're pacing yourself. Make sure that you're pacing yourself. Make sure that you are, not trying to do too much. Like one thing that that some people, run into is, you try to do, like all the stuff, like you try to do everything. And when you try to do everything all the time, it can end up, weighing down. And sometimes you just got to get help, not like, go to therapist type of help, but like sometimes you need to like hire people to help and things like that. And when you try to do everything, like that's just a straight road to burning out, because there's only so much time in the day and you can only do so much. And when all the things that you have to do start stacking up, then it can cause that stress. It can cause those feelings of like, hey, I'm not doing all the things that I need to do because time ran out today. And then you can start feeling bad about it, and then you can basically just start spiraling down into this like numbness of burnout. So if you need help in terms of anything that you're doing with anything, finding people that can help on a part-time basis or full-time basis, whatever, even freelancers that will do like on a per project basis or whatever, like if you can do those types of things, it can be really beneficial. In addition to that, if you got to take a break, your mental health is more important than anything else, and your like how you feel about what it is that you're doing with anything is more important, because like if you're not in the right place mentally, then you're not going to be able to do what it is that you need to do. You're not going to be able to perform the way that you need to. So because of that, if you need to take a break, take it. Think of it from the perspective of like short-term loss for long-term gain, in terms of like, hey, yeah, sure, I might not upload for a few weeks because I need to like just chill out. So I might not upload for a few weeks, or I might not do, some of the other things I'm doing for a few weeks or whatever, just to give myself that time so that I can kind of recalibrate, and then I can come back in and, get back to it. So, if you need to take a break as well. Let's see here. Next question that we have here, we've got, I've got about 1,500 subs and have decent views 10 years ago when I stopped making videos. Now that I'm trying to revive the channel, I'm struggling to get 50 views per video. Any suggestions? Absolutely. So when it comes to YouTube, history does matter, but if you were uploading 10 years ago and you stopped and now you start uploading again, personally, I would start a new channel if that was me. But if you're not going to start a new channel, just keep in mind that everything on YouTube is based on performance. So what that means is you have to make content that competes with the other content on YouTube. And it's not just the content in your niche. Like a lot of people think like, hey, I need to make content that is, that's just competing with the other people in my space. So it's just got to be just as good as theirs. It's not just that. Like you're competing with all of the other videos that the people that you're trying to reach are also interested in, according to YouTube, right? So because of that, you have to make sure that like you're coming to play. If you're somebody, like if you're doing, like I said before, you're doing this like a hobby and it's like, hey, if I get some views, cool. If I don't get a lot of views, that's fine too. Not a big deal. Don't care. Then in that case, it's not, as big of a deal. But if you're somebody that's trying to actually leverage YouTube for something, for your business, for views, to grow your, online brands, to generate, a side hustle income or, a primary income, whatever it is, like if you're, positioning, whatever, if you're trying to leverage YouTube for something, then in that case, like you have to come to play. Like you can't like halfway do YouTube. If you're trying to get, if you're trying to like really get something out of it, like you got to do the thing. You can't halfway do it, because if you halfway do it, then you're going to halfway get the results. So you gotta make sure that you're coming to play if you're gonna do it. But in your case, like I would just start a new channel. Like instead of committing to that channel that you had 10 years ago, I would just commit and I would start new. Do you have any resources for getting better at the hook at the beginning of videos? Absolutely. So I recommend watching sales videos in terms of how to sell things. And this is gonna sound kind of crazy, but part of a hook is also connecting with people psychologically, emotionally, and all of that. So when it comes to a hook, I mean, the basic way to do it is be like, hey, in this video, we're gonna be talking about this. That's it. Or in this video, I'm gonna be showing you this. Or in this video, we're trying to accomplish this. In this game, hey, welcome to the stream today. In this game, we're gonna be playing this game, and this is the thing that we're trying to accomplish, right? So just letting people know what it is that you're gonna be doing, that's like just a big part of it by itself. But if you wanna like really get into the nitty gritty, read a lot of books or listen to a lot of books or watch videos, whatever, on sales, on psychology, because getting into like the emotional side of people, getting into, like how people think about stuff so that you can leverage that when your videos open up to grab their attention based on the things that, they'll be feeling and all of that good stuff. Like that can really take you a long way when it comes to hook. So, I recommend just looking at a lot of, how to sell stuff content. And I know it sounds kind of like, that doesn't even make sense for, for hooking people, but trust me on this one, it does. It makes a world of difference. So I did door-to-door sales for 10 years. And as part of that, I learned how to hook people in person. so basically, like, you know, during that time, you know, I have a decade of grabbing people's attention when they didn't expect me to show up at their door, right? So you know, I'm able to use that on YouTube as well. So I just really recommend that you start looking into those types of things so that you can, you know, just learn how to, you know, just you know, leverage emotion and things like that when people come into your videos. Ian says, what's your top YouTube video creation tip for recovering perfectionist asking for a friend? So just putting stuff out. So basically, like, you know, being a perfectionist is no joke. And it can really like delay things and, you know, cause you not to, you know, like publish and, you know, like stuff like that, because, you know, things always have to be like perfect. But, you know, sometimes like when it comes to YouTube, like some of my best videos are actually some pretty low effort videos. And it's because it's like, hey, I just need to get this done and get it out. And I had to kind of put that stuff aside and just be like, hey, I'm just getting this one out. And you know, people just responded, you know, to those videos. So on YouTube, like the really awesome thing is that, you know, sometimes, like when we are intentional about things, sometimes our intentionality can, in some cases, end up working against us, especially if you're a perfectionist, because you're trying to get like, you know, everything, you know, that perfect way. And in some cases, you end up kind of overcomplicating everything for the people that are watching. So because of that, I recommend that you kind of give yourself a time limit. So if you are like, hey, my videos are typically like this long, it typically takes me this long to edit them, or if you have somebody else edit them, this is going to be a little bit different. But if it's like, hey, my videos are typically, you know, this long and they typically take me this long to edit, then in that case, I'm going to give myself like a certain amount of time based on what it typically takes me. So basically just, you know, metering like, hey, this is how long it typically takes me to get through a video, so that you can start saying, okay, these are my cutoff points. So at, you know, like if I'm like 3 hours in, you know, if I know that my cutoff limit on this video is going to be 4 hours, then that means that I have to start editing my videos in a way to make sure that like that first pass, okay, I'm getting all those cuts tight. So if I run out of time, that I have all those put together, and then I'm going to start working on the video graphics. I'm going to start working on the color, and then I'm going to go ahead and get my audio taken care of first before I start really putting the polish on this, so that I can make sure that if I do need to publish this, if I run out of time, that it's still going to be awesome, but it just might not be at that, you know, like higher level that I would like it to be at. Because at the end of the day, like, of course, you want to make sure you're giving, you know, quality to the people that are interacting with your content, but you also got to make sure that you don't stand in your own way. So, you know, perfectionism has its wins, because, you know, for perfectionists, usually by the time, you know, they do get it out, it's awesome, right? And it's like, oh, this is amazing. But that can also, you know, like that can also work against you in terms of just not, you know, publishing on a regular basis and that types of thing, just because you keep standing in your own way. So, so I just recommend, you know, adding time limits to things if possible, so that you can start optimizing your workflow to get videos done quicker in a way to where they're still good quality, but then you save that last part of your time for the polish, and you put on as much polish as you can within that time limit, but then have that cutoff time so you can make sure that you're, you know, that you're putting content out on a regular basis. How do I get more views or advertise for long form video content podcast? So first off, one thing that I do want to bring to your attention, Sophia, is that when it comes to advertising on YouTube, that's good for like a quick hit. And of course, you know, if you really know what it is that you're doing, then, you know, of course you can, you know, grow the right audience and things like that. But advertising on YouTube breaks down if you haven't learned how to get organic activity yet. And what I mean by that is, let's say that you spend $1,000 in ads and you grow your channel to, you know, X amount of subscribers, and you have like X amount of views on the videos that you've promoted. And you're like, okay, I've got this audience now. Well, you have that audience in terms of the numbers on your YouTube channel, but what happens is when you publish that next video, if you still haven't learned how to get people to click on your thumbnails and titles, then YouTube will present your content to some of those people that it deems that, you know, genuinely engaged with the content. And when it shows your video to some of those people, because keep in mind, YouTube doesn't show your content to all your subscribers, but when it shows it to some of those people and some of the other people that they think would be likely to enjoy that content at that point in time, one, if you haven't learned how to get people to click on your content yet, then you're like, all of that money that you spend on ads is going to be wasted because you still can't get people to respond on the platform. In addition to that, once they do click, if they come into the content, if they don't enjoy the content at a level that's competitive for the platform, then in that case, same exact thing, they're going to leave the video, and that mass abandonment will cause YouTube to will basically kind of stop promoting your video or stop, showing your video to people, because when they do, people aren't responding to it at a competitive level. So because of that, if you're doing advertising on your videos, you got to make sure that before you go and you start spending money on that you've learned how to get that organic response. And then once you learn how to get that organic response, if you want to, you can spend money on ads. You just got to make sure. A lot of people, when they start doing ads, like for YouTube, they'll target low tier countries, because you can get a lot more views and a lot more subscribers for lower amounts of money. But that's not the people that you're actually trying to reach. So you got to make sure that when you are, targeting your ads, once you learn how to get that organic response so that you can get them to click once you turn off the ad money, that you got to make sure that, when you're targeting them, that you are targeting it for that demographic of people that you're genuinely trying to reach. But again, at the end of the day, you got to make sure that you can get people to respond organically, and you get people to enjoy your content organically. Now, how you can decide this, or how you can prove if you can do this or not, is if you publish a piece of content right now, then what's going to happen is over a short period of time, YouTube is going to start showing you data on how people respond. If you go into your YouTube analytics, which every YouTube channel has this on the back end, you go into your creator studio, you go into your analytics, you're going to see things. You click into the actual video itself, and then once you go into the analytics for that video, you're going to see things like your click-through rate. You're going to see your average view duration. You're going to see your audience retention reports. These things are going to help you identify how people are responding to each different part of your content. So for example, the click-through rate, you're going to see an averaged out version that's going to be like a quick view. You don't want to really use that one, because different things doing better than others can kind of distort that number. So you want to make sure you click into your traffic sources report, and then you're going to be able to see when my content shows up on home pages, this is how people respond to it in terms of the click compared to the impressions that I'm getting, the click-through rate. And then this is, how long people typically watch for. And you're going to see that information there. You're going to see it from search. You're going to see it from suggested videos. And then you can start, using that information to be like, I'm getting, a decent amount of impressions on these, but people aren't really clicking on them a lot, which means I got to start thinking of how I'm reframing, or I got to start thinking of how I'm framing the episodes that I'm putting out of my podcast. I got to think of the thumbnails that I'm using and stuff like that. In addition to that, one thing that I do want to bring to your attention, since you are doing podcasts, is I would also, as long as you have the bandwidth to do this, I also recommend that you do make clips for your podcast as well, because when it comes to viewership on YouTube, there's tons of people that love long form content, because, people go on walks, they're sitting there working, whatever the thing happens to be, and they're listening to YouTube, in the background. They're listening to your episode, while they're doing that. So if you have an hour-long podcast, like, some people are going to love that. However, not everybody has an hour of time. Some people just want to sample your content, things like that. So another thing that you can do, and you can use this as a way to bring even more attention to your long form, and for them to, stream it on all the other, podcasting, areas as well. But if you start making like highlights and clips, around your podcast as well on a separate channel, then another thing that can happen there is you're also able to tap into the people that are into short form content. The people are like, I don't have an hour. But then, if YouTube is showing your content to people at 5 minutes at a time, then you're also going to reach people that are into content like that. So then what you're doing is you're taking your one piece of content, you're putting out the long form version for the people that like the long form. You have another channel for the people that like short form. And that also gives you more content that you can put out on that short channel, while not shorts, but the shorter form content channel, while, it takes you, more time to make the content for the long form channel, because it's one piece of content there. So if you have an hour-long podcast, if you can take out like 5 clips, then, you can put out, 5 videos a week for each podcast episode that you put out. And that gives you technically 6 with your long form content plus the 5 videos that you put out for your podcast clips. That gives you 6 different pieces of content that gives you the potential to touch more people with your podcast and spread awareness about your episodes. So when you are doing that, just as another tip for you, make sure that when you are packaging up either your podcast itself or the clips, make sure that you're packaging them up, not necessarily around like the guests that you're having, unless they're like really popular. When you're doing that, you want to make sure that you're packaging them up around the topics that the people that you're trying to reach care about. So for example, if you're doing your thing is a barmaid, so if you're talking about, like working at a bar or something like that, then in that particular case, then you would, make the proposition of the video would be something about, being a barmaid, not necessarily the person that you're talking to or the name of the person that you're talking to. So one mistake people make, like even, people, interview me for podcasts and stuff like that too. And a lot of people will frame the entire thing around me. And it's like, why do you frame it around me? Like you need to frame it around the thing that people care about, which is like growing on YouTube or getting more views on YouTube, or how to, be more efficient as a content creator, or how to make money as a content creator. Like you got to frame it around that stuff, because the only people that would care about it when it's framed around me are the people that know me. And, like, even though I've got I've had a lot of views on my channel, I got a lot of subscribers, there's, way more people that don't know me than do. So therefore, because of that, it's better to always frame it around the subject matter that matters to your audience than it is the people. So another thing that happens with podcasts is a lot as well in terms of mistakes. And I know I'm giving you a lot of information here, so I apologize to everybody else that I keep, going on here about the podcast, but, it popped up and this is all in my brain, so I'm just kind of letting it out. But another thing as well is, a lot of times with podcasters, they'll use like templated thumbnails and things like that just because it's easy, and just because they've seen some marketer be like, hey, all you got to do, just repurpose your content, use these templates, throw them together real quick. It's going to take you 10 minutes. This is YouTube. Like if you want results, like spend the time making custom thumbnails for them. Make sure that you're not just, here's a circle of the host's face. Here's another circle that has the face of the guest. And then like a little like logo down here of the podcast name. Nobody cares about any of that, right? You got to make sure that you're framing everything around the value that somebody's going to get from listening to that episode, not the people that are actually participating in the episode, unless they're super famous. Like if you have Elon Musk on, yeah, everybody knows who Elon Musk is. So because of that, you probably want to frame it around him. But if you're talking to, most people, then in that case, you want to frame it around the content, not around the actual guest that you're having. Same exact thing goes with, with your clips as well. So instead of like, this guest name said this, or they think this or whatever, it's more important to think of it like, okay, this little soundbite here, this little clip that we're going to put out, like what's the real value out of this clip that, that our audience that we're trying to reach? What is it out of this clip that they like really care about, that we can really leverage when it comes to, bringing attention to it through the thumbnail and the title, because that's what's going to get them to click and enjoy that content, not the people that are in it, unless they're, very well known. Even if they're well known in the industry that you're serving, you still shouldn't wrap it around them. You should still wrap it around the actual value. So the difference is again, if they're like super famous, like somebody like Mr. Beast, right? You can wrap it around him and it'll get views because, tons of people on YouTube know who Mr. Beast is because he's just crushing it. So because of that, you can wrap it around him and you'll get views like just by default. However, when it comes to, like people like me, like, sure, like, like you get some views from people that, know me if I share it my community feed, sure. But like at the end of the day, the topic is what people care about, right? And especially new people that don't even know who I am, like that, it's the topic that people care about. It's not me. So, so because of that, just make sure you're keeping all of that stuff in mind when it comes to your podcast, and be careful with advertising. Okay, Jerry says a lot of YouTube tip channels say remake your most popular video. What's the best way to go about that? It's not necessarily remaking your most popular video. It's more about thinking like, okay, can I make this video better? Can I add a new type of value to this video? Like what can I do on this topic that people responded to make it even better than it is before, based on all the things that I learned from how people responded to this particular video. And another thing you got to be careful of is you want to make sure that you don't want to just keep remaking that popular video over and over again, or else you end up going into this like your entire channel is just like this one video essentially in a bunch of different ways. Guilty. But like what you want to do though is you just want to think like, hey, people enjoyed this on my channel, so since it's bringing in a lot of activity, like what else on my channel, since this one's super popular and there's been a lot of data behind this particular video, which means that when I publish another video that's topically similar, that YouTube is likely to show it to some of those people that interacted with this video. Like what would be something that those people that watch this really popular video would really love, and then that's the video that you want to make. And then of course, after time passes, let's say it's been 6 months, a year, you put out a lot of content, you've grown new audience and all that stuff, then in that case, that's where you can be like, yeah, I'm just going to remake a better version of this particular video that's already performed well on the channel. So here, how you feeling? Post-COVID, Nick, was worried about you. Yeah, I'm doing much better now. My energy's a little bit low now. But in terms of, just from streaming and stuff, but overall, yeah, I'm feeling way better. Thank you for asking. So your live stream trailers, thoughts and opinions, should I make one? Absolutely. It's one of those things, like with the live stream trailers, like it's one of those things that's not needed, but it just levels it up, right? So like, for example, like when you see if you just watched one of my videos as an example, right? Let's say you just watched one of my videos and you're like, oh yeah, this is some good information. I learned some cool stuff here. I'm going to subscribe, whatever. And then YouTube ends up showing you like this thumbnail in this live stream before I went live. then in that case, if it just opened up and it's just like an image with a thumbnail on it, like, yeah, you can, oh, okay, yeah, I think I watched this guy's video, you know, like that type of thing. And then it has a little reminder on there. Like that's one thing. And it's like, yeah, you know, maybe I'll click the reminder here, come in and watch it. Maybe I won't, or hey, I don't even remember who this dude is. But if the video opens or they click on it and it comes in, that gives you an opportunity to essentially convince people or sell people on why your live stream is important to them. So then that gives you the opportunity to, instead of it being a static image that isn't giving them anything, where you're only relying on that image, then in that case, you can say like, hey, this stream coming up this weekend, we're going to be talking about this. I'm going to be showing you this, you know, and our art, you know, I'm working on this art piece. I can't wait to show this, you know, art piece to you. So, I mean, you can make custom, you know, trailers for each stream. You can do one that's kind of blanket that covers, you know, the general topics based on, you know, how much attention you're trying to bring to that stream. But basically, like in your case, you know, hey, I got this, you know, great piece. I'm super excited to be working on it. We're going to be doing it, you know, this Monday on the channel. And, you know, I'm really excited to work on this through you. And one of the things that we always do in our live streams is I actually, you know, go to the audience for colors and things like that. So it's not just a thing where you're going to watch me paint, but it's something to where we're actually going to interactively do this together. So I would love for you to participate. All you have to do is click on this reminder, you know, right when I'm going live. YouTube's going to send you an email. So just make sure you keep an eye out for that email, those types of things. So by using it, it just gives you that chance to kind of level everything up a little bit in terms of, you know, that awareness of what's going to be going on. They get a little taste of you and your personality and how you present, you know, all those things to where, you know, it helps them make a more informed decision on if they want to participate or not. When you know when it's time to quit creating videos, when you just don't want to do it anymore. That's it. So, you know, like when it comes to doing anything, you know, like the time to quit is when you're just like, you know what, I'm done. Like, I just don't want to do it anymore. Because like, if you still want to do it, but it's just not working out for you, then in that case, that comes down to like, I'm just not doing all the things yet, or I just haven't been doing it long enough yet to get the results out of it that I want. It doesn't mean that you're bad at it. I mean, you might be bad at it, but it could also mean that you just have more that you need to learn in order to get the results that you're after. So if you're like, you know, hey, you know, I'm not interested in this anymore, then don't make videos anymore. But if you're like, you know, hey, this isn't going the way that I thought it would go, in that case, then that just means you have more to learn. That means that, you know, there's more videos that you need to make. There's more that you need to learn about the audience that you're trying to reach. You need to learn how to make better titles, thumbnails, the content, the whole nine. That just means that you got to learn how, you know, you just got to keep leveling up your skill set, because YouTube, just like anything else, like it comes with a learning curve. So when you are, you know, putting out content, or when you're first starting, you know, like if you haven't done any of this stuff before, you've never made graphics, you've never written any copy that, you know, is trying to convince people to do something. That's what a title is. You've never made any type of content before. You've never even thought about a viewer experience and what a viewer might be thinking when they're going through things. Like, you know, when you're first starting, if you don't, you know any of that stuff, or you've never, you know, done any of that before, then you're starting at zero. So because of that, you have to, you know, go through that process of, you know, learning to do those things, but also learning to understand, you know, the people that you're trying to reach, learning how to understand like, hey, this is what an effective title actually looks like for the people that I'm trying to reach, you know, learning, you know, developing that understanding through the education. I think it was Einstein that mentioned that like education isn't just about like learning facts or just recalling facts. It's education is more about learning how to think. So like when it comes to YouTube, as an example, you know, the more you educate yourself and the more that you learn, you know, about the craft, then it helps you learn how to think about what it is that you're doing in a way that helps you learn more about how to be more effective for the people that you're trying to reach. So like, for example, like if you've never done any of this stuff before, you might not even know the right questions to ask yet that will get you to, you know, to the answers that you're looking for. But as you learn more and as you apply more and as you start running into problems and you're on Google and you're on YouTube and you're trying to solve these problems and you're learning more and more about it, then you're going to start learning how to think of it in a way that's going to start leading you into the right questions to ask that will in the future ultimately help you thrive on the platform. So, you know, because of that, if you're at that point right now to where you're like, it's just not going the way that I want, so I want to quit because of that, that's okay. You can still quit, right? It's your life. Like, do whatever you want. It's your life. But like when it comes to deciding on like knowing when it's time to quit, I just want to, you know, share that, you know, quitting just comes down to you just not wanting to do it anymore, just not being interested anymore, or something like that. But, you know, if it's only because you're not getting the results that you're after, then that actually comes down to you. So because of that, you have to make that choice on, okay, am I willing to, you know, continue learning how to do this? If it takes me, you know, 5 years to figure it out, am I willing to go through that? even though it might only take me 6 months, if it does take me 5 years, am I willing to do that? Yes or no? So, you know, it's just coming up with all those things within yourself to make that call. Let's see here. Does posting every day help? If you're making effective content in terms of, you know, people respond to it, you know, on the click and on the, you know, in terms of watching it and just having a good experience with your content. In some cases, you know, posting more, you know, can absolutely be beneficial because it's more content that you put out there, which means that it's more content that, you know, more opportunities that you have for videos to do well, more, you know, opportunities to connect with new people. So it can be advantageous there. But keep in mind, when it comes to posting every day, just make sure that if you do it, that it's something that you can sustain, because, you know, daily content, no joke. I've never done it. I'm not interested in doing daily content. I have gotten things to the point to where it's like, hey, I'm putting out, you know, like 2 videos per week on the channel plus a live stream. So there's 3 pieces of content plus, you know, 2 podcast episodes, like that kind of stuff, or live streams on other channels. Like I have done that. But in terms of like, hey, I'm putting out a piece of video content every day, I'm not interested in that in any way, shape, or form. But if you are, you know, that's definitely something that it'll help you develop your skills faster, as long as you give yourself the time to, you know, analyze what it is that you're doing as well. So instead of just going brute force, like, hey, I'm just doing my thing, you know, publishing, looking at, you know, at the data that comes in from how people respond to what it is that you're doing, and then, you know, adjusting from there. That's the approach that you want to take. Do YouTube take away the thumbs count on the thumbs up count on the mobile app? Not that I'm aware of. So if you look on the mobile app, you can still see it. And keep in mind, they're always testing stuff. Like some people on Reddit, for example, are saying that, like in this home feed, hey, here's Chocolate Man in Thailand right here too. But they're saying on the mobile feed, some people are saying that they're not even seeing the timestamp there, and they're saying that they're also not seeing the line that goes across the bottom to let you know like how long you've watched. So they're testing stuff like, you know, all the time. But in terms of the thumbs up here, I'm just gonna click here. Yeah, so you can see right here, the thumbs up, it's still there. In addition to that, if we go wide, you can see that they've also introduced on the player itself, you have the engagement stuff over on this side, and then you have the suggested videos over here on this side. So they did make that update. Let's see here. I do animations. Do you know any, don't know how many views I would get on average, and how could I increase my subscribers and views? Do know how many views I would get on average. So basically increasing your subscribers and views, just like all other types of content, everything comes down to response. So one thing that I would do if you can is just try to, and I know this is going to sound extremely general, but it's, you know, how it is, you know, you got to make the best animations that you can and make sure that you are paying attention to your audience retention reports so that you can learn the things that you're doing within your animations that people respond to or do not respond to, so that you can modify those things, you know, as you progress through time, making more and more videos. In addition to that, you as an animator, you also have to think topically in terms of like, what can I make this about that, you know, would also make it about the viewer, because the animation is about the story within the video, but then you also got to make it about the viewer because you want them to click on it, right? So you got to make sure that the things that you're talking about within your animations, or the, you know, animations that you're putting together, are things that are of interest to people. And you can do that by simply using the research tab that YouTube has recently put out, using TubeBuddy's Keyword Explorer, using YouTube Autocomplete, using Answer the Public, those types of things, to just kind of uncover like, hey, what are people interested in, you know, right now for the type of people that I'm trying to reach. Thank you, Bill. Super appreciate that, man. I'm glad I'm feeling better too. How can faceless channels live streams do well? Easy. So when it comes to faceless channel live streams, let's imagine for a second that I had a live stream here like this. And let's say that I was, you know, showing you how to do stuff on an Apple Watch. I could still add tons of value here, showing you how to, you know, set up an Apple Watch and how to do like all this stuff and whatnot. I could still do all of that stuff and you wouldn't even need to see my face to do it. So basically just setting things up in a way, in terms of like your equipment and all of that, to where, you know, you're doing like overhead shots to where, you know, people don't see you. Then you can do live streams that way. You can do video content that way as well. And then they don't see you. They just see, you know, whatever stuff that you're bringing attention to. All right. So with all of that out of the way, really quick, hot mess history with She Said. What She said, hey, Nick, just hit 70. You are crushing. You are moving so fast. It's just hit 70,000 subscribers while watching you. 7,000 New subscribers this month, tightening up on tips from you and your panel is really helping me grow. Thanks. Congratulations to you. High five and fist bump to you. You're absolutely crushing. It's like you get an extra like 10,000 subscribers every time you swing by. So nice work on that. Congratulations to you, and keep crushing. Yeah, you're doing awesome. So yeah, I just want to thank everybody for hanging out today. Again, do want to remind you that if you are looking for music for your live streams or for your video content, we do have that available over at creatormix.com. We've made this resource for the community so that you can have free music that you don't have to worry about copyright headaches. So you can use it in the backgrounds of your live streams. You can just listen to it. There's awesome music over there. So you can just listen to it in the background from like Spotify or Apple Music, any of that. If you just go there and you look up Creator Mix, then you'll find it. In addition to that, I want to remind everybody to visit the sponsors of the channel and of the live stream as well. I've got links to everybody down in the description below, as well as other YouTube tools as well. Like you as a content creator, there's lots of things that you just need as content creators. You need editing software, you need merch stuff, you need, tools that help you identify, keywords and topics that people are looking for, things like that. We've got, almost all that stuff down in the description. So make sure that you check the description as well for things that that you'll enjoy down there, things that will add value to you as well. And I just want to thank everybody for hanging out in the stream today. I hope you got some type of value out of this. And one thing that I do want to remind you is if you are just getting started with all this, and one of the reasons I'm saying this, I say this at the end of every live stream, but one of the other things as well that I want to, hey, Roberto Blake in the house, what's up, dude? Hope that you are doing fantastic. But one of the things that that I like to remind people of is if you're just getting started with this, a lot of it might seem like, man, there's a lot of stuff to learn, and there is. But, keep in mind, like I mentioned before, I was on a call yesterday with a channel with over 1 million subscribers on it, and they didn't know about like the grouping feature inside of YouTube. They didn't know, about, like setting up videos to where, you can drive people into different playlists and where you can create like watch time traps of sorts and things like that. So like, just keep in mind, like you can still thrive if you just focus on like learning how to get people to respond to what it is that you're doing through the click and through, the video content that you're making and create. Think of the viewers first and think of making that content that is just a great fit for them and try to create the best possible experience for your viewers. That's going to move the needle for you more than anything else. But while you're doing that, try to always remember to take notes on the information that you hear during these live streams and the videos that you watch of mine and other people who make content like mine, so that you can, work on these other things just as you go along. But it's really important to make sure though, that with all the different stuff that we talk about, that you always focus on your topics, your thumbnails, your titles, and the actual video content. Those things are going to move the needle for you more than anything else that you can do with your YouTube channel. So focus on those. And at the very top of that, you're doing all of those things to resonate with a certain type of viewer. So in front of those things, you have to make sure that you're thinking of the viewers that you're trying to reach on YouTube and the value that you're trying to add to those viewers, so that your thumbnails, your titles, your topics, and your video content can create a great experience for those people that you're trying to reach. So make sure you're getting clear on the people that you're trying to reach with your content, and make sure that you're putting 95% of your efforts into, your topics, titles, thumbnails, and your content, and then the 5% into all of the little details, setting up your channel page properly, making sure that your channel art has your value proposition in it, making sure that you're, adding playlists on a regular basis, making sure that you're, leading people into additional content, making sure that you're experimenting with calls to actions to get people to subscribe to your channel more and things like that. But at the end of the day, focus on the content. So thank you everybody for hanging out. Hope you had a great time today. Hope you learned something. Make sure you give this a thumbs up on the way out. Everybody have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you next Saturday. Same time, same place, 9 a.m. Eastern. And have a great weekend. Stay safe out there, and I will see you next time.